If only someone made a video on that, is a statement I've said time and time again in my shorts, mainly because it is true. I am someone. Since Tears of the Kingdom released back in May, I've made over 200 shorts on the game, ranging from tips to cool details. It is crazy to see the first few shorts how surprisingly calm I am, and then you, can you parry that episode 9? You go to this. So now instead of having to scroll through every single video, I've compiled them all up into this one large video, which just so happens to be over 2 hours long, dear lord. I used to put spoiler warnings at the beginning of all my videos for 5 seconds, but I've edited all of those out. Also, I said it was going to be merely Tears of the Kingdom videos. I lied. It's every single short I've made from Tears of the Kingdom's release to right now, today, this video. Yes. I'm probably going to say things like, oh, subscribe, and if I reach 100k before this mark, you should do this. Ignore those. That already happened. Thank you all for 100,000 subscribers again. Got Magnemite in the mirror. Oh, thank you all for 128,000 subscribers as of recording this video, and I hope you enjoy the compilation. Be sure to change this setting in Tears of the Kingdom. While playing the game, if you ever want to take in the scenery, you can't because of all the user interface. However, if you go into settings and change the HUD or heads-up display mode to Pro, you can get rid of all of that clutter, and it even gets rid of hearts when you aren't in combat. This is perfect for thumbnails, oh my lord. I was wrong about Tears of the Kingdom. I stated in a previous video that I would really want to have the Link's Awakening amiibo work in the game and for the player to look like, and I quote, I don't want to make toys, I want to be a dentist. But it turns out that not only is the amiibo outfit in the game, but he is a tall lad, oh my goodness. There are even more Easter eggs in Tears of the Kingdom. I thought that Link would only hum Cass's song while cooking, but hoo boy, I sure was wrong about that. Here I am discovering what classic tunes Link jams to while cooking. And yes, I am in a suit, moving on. Let's try this. That was a... Wait a minute. That was a... He's humming the Champion's Ballad! Oh my god! That's Ballad of the Wind! Cass's theme, okay. Classic, oh my god! That's the bonus song! And that's the Ocarina of Time Hyrule Field theme. Here are the best fuse combos in Tears of the Kingdom. Using a key swing will make your arrows go zoom, a flame emitter to your shield to make the flamethrower, a wing zonai device to your shield to get a higher shield surf jump, a rocket to shield surf super fast, and a bomb flower to your shield to launch yourself up in the air like a bullet time bounce. This also works with a time bomb. Don't fuse it to anything else though. Here's how to get the Champion's Tunic in Tears of the Kingdom. First, you have to make your way to Hateno Village, and then your house. Head on over to the back and enter this well to find Zelda's secret room. After reading her notebook, you find out the new and improved Champion's Tunic is in the throne room of Hyrule Castle, and you have to light the 2 torches to find it. But now comes the hard part. How do you get to Hyrule Castle? Well, here's how I did it. Step 1, hop on over to the Temple of Time. Oh wait, wrong one. The Temple of Time on the Great Sky Island and use ascend and climbing to get to the very top. Then assemble your glider and fly over to Hyrule Castle. You'll need lots of Zonai charges or a ton of batteries to make the trip with fans. If you got enough stamina, you should be able to make it to the Sanctum and nab the drip. And be sure to grab the Dusk Bow at the top of the castle while you're at it. I just found the funniest thing in Tears of the Kingdom. So the dragons are back and they chill through the land, quite literally through the land. And so I was hitching a ride with Nadra back up to the surface before I realized, wait a minute, no way. This really takes Let Me Cook to a whole new level, huh? Get this item when going underground in Tears of the Kingdom. The lack of vision underground isn't really helping out the whole navigation thing, and placing bright bloom seeds everywhere isn't the best either. So you could either go cook some food that gives you bioluminescence, or you could go to the highly essential mine right here on the map. It's also below Mount Hylia on the Great Plateau. Open this chest to get the miner's trousers. Now, is there probably a full set to give you more light than this? Yeah. Do I know where to find it? Not at all. Have fun. Here's how to defeat this overworld boss in Tears of the Kingdom. This overworld boss draws from 2 different classic Zelda enemies, the Wall Masters, and last chance to get out for spoilers, 3, 2, 1, Phantom Ganon. What? If you ever see this splotch of gloom chilling like it's Death Stranding, either A, run away, or B, be insane. You have to take out all 5 of the hands in order to make them go bye-bye, otherwise they will keep coming back even if there is just 1 remaining. Now, what are these lads' attacks? I don't know, I was too scared to stay around for too long. After all these hands are gone, now it's time to fight Phantom Ganon. The hardest part of this fight is the wacky timing of his attacks. It'll be really hard to get a flurry rush at all. Be sure to always be at full health so one-shot protection protects you so you don't get owned. around. Try to keep your distance or risk getting gloomed to death again. And with Phantom Ganon defeated, you get the Gloom Sword and Bow. Be careful using the sword though, it will literally kill you. Here's another reason to hate the rain in Tears of the Kingdom. We all know that rain makes everything slippery and tough to climb, which has been remedied a bit by the new Ascend ability, but there's another thing the rain does that is just too evil. Rain is water, and water is wet, so it makes our paraglider fabric wet and weighs Link down, making him fall faster when gliding. Eyeballing the comparison shots, I say that Link falls 5% faster compared to no rain, and 5% is everything. Here's a cool detail about shrines in Tears of the Kingdom. So while you go around exploring shrines, you notice that they have some wacky names. I'm not even going to try and pronounce some of them, but if you head underground and activate some light roots and take a look at the map, you'll notice that not only do the light roots and shrines exist at the same points on the map, but the light root's name backwards is the name of the shrine it shares a spot with. Goodness gracious. How to get the Master Sword in Tears of the Kingdom. First off, at the end of the Great Sky Island, you send the Master Sword to wherever Zelda is, but where did Zelda go? To find that out, you must investigate all of the geoglyphs across Hyrule to find your answer. Once you investigate them all, a final one will appear. Now that you know the location of the Master Sword, how many upgrades do you need to pull it? All I will say to avoid spoiling the amount of upgrades you need is that you need at least the stats shown here. Have fun. How to upgrade your battery in Tears of the Kingdom. I know we all love making wacky creations with Ultra Hand, but those mean nothing if we don't have the battery power to operate them, so how do we increase the capacity? The first step is getting Zonite, which is a nifty rock found mostly in the depths by enemy camps, but you can find it more elsewhere as well. After you got a large amount, you can head to a forge construct. The one I go to is in the central mine, which is right under the Great Plateau. The second step is to take the Zonite and process it into energy charges. These can be quite pricey, big yikes. The final step is to head to the Recall Shrine and talk to this lad, and they can take your energy charges and turn them into energy wells for your battery. It takes 100 charges to get one of these upgrades. Dear lord, that's a lot of Zonite. How to get the Travel Medallion in Tears of the Kingdom. The Travel Medallion will allow you to set your own warp point, so how do you get it? You first want to do some side quests with Joshua and Robbie until you can get Robbie's hot air balloon fixed up. Once you fix that up, Robbie will soar off to Hateno Ancient Tech Lab, where you can now upgrade the Pura Pad. The Travel Medallion files are all the way at Akala Ancient Tech Lab, however, so you'll need to go there and get it. I'm sure nothing bad's happening there. To get even more Travel Medallions, you will need to fill out the map. For a second one, you will need 10 towers activated, and all of them for the third. How to get the Hylian Shield in Tears of the Kingdom. First things first, you may want to be well equipped with bomb flowers before you go get it for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Your location is where the Sheikah Shrine was in Hyrule Castle in Breath of the Wild. Shot. To get there, just mosey on over to Hyrule Castle and go around the back to reach the docks. You may want to be careful of some lads, but once you light the torch, the chest will rise up from the ground containing the Hylian Shield. How to defeat a Gleeok in Tears of the Kingdom. The Gleeok are a boss you can find in the overworld of Hyrule, and they come in different elemental variants. One scene in the trailer is chilling at the Bridge of Hylia, so let's take it down. The Gleeok change the weather around them when they fight, so bring some heat-resistant food if you are fighting this flame Gleeok. The main goal is to knock out all three of the Gleeok's heads to be able to damage them properly. Fuse items like eyeballs and rockets to your arrows so you have an easier time hitting these fast targets. Now the big lad is toppled and you can get some damage in. Using the opposing element to the Gleeok will fetch you some extra damage. Rinse and repeat until the Gleeok starts flying up high into the air and proceeds to shoot a massive fireball at you. Do not get hit by this. You'll have to ride an updraft to get up close and personal with the big boy to knock down the three heads again. Just be wary of the rapid weather change after the fight. Here's how to unfuse weapons in Tears of the Kingdom. If you have ever defeated an enemy with an elemental weapon and said, "Man, I really wish I could sell that ruby," don't fret because you can't. Head on over to Terrytown in the Akala region and chat with Pelison. For the small price of 20 rupees, you can unfuse that weapon and make that gemstone cash. Here's how to put the Hylian hood down in Tears of the Kingdom. First, you will need to get the Hylian hood, and I got mine at Lookout Landing right after I landed there. Then you will need to make your way to Hateno Village and enter Ventus Clothing to initiate a side quest chain that causes Hateno Village to have an election. Keep doing those side quests until the election is over and Ventus Clothing should be open for business. Go talk to Cece and you will get the best hat in the game, and talking to her with a Hylian hood will give you the prompt to put the hood down. Here's how to customize your glider in Tears of the Kingdom. If you've seen any cool gliders, it's because with certain fabrics you can go to the dye shop in Hateno Village and get it customized for 20 rupees. The glider fabrics I use are from the Twilight Princess amiibo and Wind Waker amiibo, but if you want the Breath of the Wild nostalgia, you can head to where you got the paraglider in that game, open this chest, and get the nostalgia fabric. How to get this ability in Tears of the Kingdom. To get this wacky purple ability, you first have to get off the Great Sky Island and head over to Lookout Landing. Once you are there, you can talk to Joshua and Robbie about the depths to initiate a side quest chain that has you get the ability to snap photos with the Pura Pad and investigate where these statues are leading. You will then find this totally doesn't look like a boss arena area, and near the entrance you can find two totally normal people trying to figure out this odd ability which you'll be able to nab and use just fine. But I don't think those lads will be so happy about you taking it though. How to repair your weapons in Tears of the Kingdom. Do you wish your weapons would last just a tad longer? Well, hoo boy, do I have news for you. If you find one of these Octorok lads, you can drop one of your damaged weapons right in front of them and they will munch that bad boy right up. Just watch out for when they spit it back out, it may hurt. But once you get the weapon back, you'll see it has a new durability upgrade and is restored to full durability by its shining right here. Here are some Ultra Hand building tips in Tears of the Kingdom. First off, and I can't believe I beat the entire game without knowing this, but if you press the ZL button while holding an item, it will flatten it, making rotation way easier. Time bombs will activate all devices within the vicinity of the explosion. Stabilizers will take whatever it is connected to and have it on top of itself so you can launch things, like the Korok Cannon 1000. And you can put a frost emitter anywhere near water to create ice platforms so you can put a Korok on it and watch them slowly. Check the pinned comment of this video to submit your own Ultra Hand creations. I'll take a look at them in a future video. How to defeat a Phrox in Tears of the Kingdom. The Phrox is an overworld boss that so far I've only seen in the depths, so here's how you take them down. The Phrox's body is made up of hard rock because of the whole frog, rocks, frogs, yeah, you get it. However, the ore deposits on the back are the weak points, so you can either shoot the eye, which is pretty difficult surprisingly, or alternatively you can chuck a bomb in the Phrox's mouth, King Dodongo style, when they go Turbo mode. After destroying a few ore deposits, be sure to skedaddle because not only is this lad tough, but he has the hops, oh my lord. Rinse and repeat and the Phrox will be more like a Phrox that's dead instead. How to defeat a Flux construct in Tears of the Kingdom. You know that blocky lad on the Great Sky Island that you stayed away from? Yeah, we're fighting that now. The most important thing to note is that every block on this lad can be grabbed with Ultra Hand, so just keep taking chunks off of him to get to the core block. The easiest way to hit the core is with a bow and arrow, but you can also grab the box and wiggle the right stick enough to detach the core. Rinse and repeat until the construct goes up into the air. Now you have two options here. The first is to use Ultra Hand or some other means to get your way up there, or you could just wait for the blocks to fall at you, use recall on one of the blocks, and get a free ticket to Core Town. The final phase is the construct become a sentient Rubik's Cube as it moves towards you to crush you. Be sure to Ultra Hand away the blocks until the core is revealed, and then you can fire away. And then away you go to the next boss. This fight sure is fun. How to defeat a Lionel in Tears of the Kingdom. The Lionel are one of the toughest enemies in the game with super fast attacks and a ton of health. So how do you take them down? It's important to note that Lionels can use every weapon Link can, from swords and shields to spears and claymores. Now when fighting these lads, it is very important to pay attention to their movements, as once they start an attack, it will come out real fast. The easiest one to deal with is the sword and shield fellas, as all of their attacks are quite easy to flurry rush once you get the timing down. Although flurry rushes are good, parrying has a lot of use in these fights as well, because if you miss a flurry rush, you may get hit with a follow-up attack. And if you stun the Lionel with a headshot, you can get on their back and whack them for some bonus damage. But what attacks do you need to look out for? For the sword and shield Lionel, you need to look out for the charge attack and whether they are using the sword or not. The spear Lionel will hop high up into the air and slam into the ground. The best option is to run away, but you could always parry it. The claymore / big boy weapon Lionels do the spin move. You could parry it, don't. Higher tier Lionels also can charge up an attack for a really long time. Run away from this, or you could parry it if you know what I'm saying. How to defeat a Molduga in Tears of the Kingdom. The Molduga are big sandworms that reside in the Gerudo Desert, so how do you fight one? It is important to realize that Molduga sense your presence with vibrations on the ground and will come up to snatch you. You could throw a bomb and have it run after that instead, but here's how to be cool about it. Use a bomb to your shield, and right before the Molduga leaps out of the sand, shield surf to launch yourself, then shoot a bomb arrow into its mouth. Now that it is down, you can whack at it. Its stomach is the weak point, and the lad is quite vulnerable to electricity. Just watch out for the spin attack. Yikes. If you have bombs or electric weapons, now is the time, as that will get the big boy out of the dunes. Rinse and repeat, and the Molduga will be Moldugan. Unlock this special attack in Tears of the Kingdom. This new attack will activate when you have no weapons equipped and is called the Earthquake technique. This technique can be learned at the Yiga clan hideout in the Gerudo Desert, but you need to disguise yourself to get in. So where do you find the Yiga clan uniform? There are 3 pieces and they are found at these locations. This cave, southwest of Korok Forest, the Akala Ancient Tech Lab, and the Old Man's House on the Great Plateau. Once you enter the hideout, you'll need to talk to this lad to undergo a training drill, perform well enough times, and you will get the Earthquake Scroll. There is also some other rewards, but I'm sure they're not important. Get this armor set to help you build in Tears of the Kingdom. When building with Ultra Hand, do you ever just drain the battery too fast? Well, this armor set, the Zonite armor, will make your creations more battery efficient so you can go for longer without running out. But where do you get this set? Well, they are all in the sky. Head on over to each location and find the chest hidden within each one. They are in the Discount Death Star in the Sky Mine above Terrytown, Lightcast Island just above the flight range, and the Zonai Forge Island above the Dueling Peaks area. Just be sure not to get yourself stuck in the Death Star. It's more common than you might think. How to customize your horse in Tears of the Kingdom. Here is my horse Groose, but since he didn't transfer to Tears of the Kingdom because he was on my Master download Breath of the Wild save file, I had to find him again, which took way too long. Hello, Groose, please. But there is one issue. I can't get Groose's flowing red hair at the stables because I do not have the required amount of pony points, which you get from doing various activities at a stable. So I sold some loot and started to take all the naps I could at my local stable to get my points up to 16, to give Groose those red locks he deserves. Now he just needs to be enhanced. How to enhance your horse in Tears of the Kingdom. Now that I have Groose, I want to upgrade his stats, but how do I do that? First, you want to make your way to the horse guide just west of Akala Ancient Tech Lab. To activate it, you'll need some Endura carrots, but you can get some at Satori Mountain. Once you unlock the fountain, you'll be able to talk to Melania, Blade of Mikola, to revive dead horses and enhance the stats of your current horses. To do this, you will need some food. And how do you make this food? I don't know, do you think I'm a guide? Don't look at me like that. And now Groose is an extra strong lad. How to find the new dragon in Tears of the Kingdom. The new dragon can be seen right at the start of the game and will fly through the skies of Hyrule. The important thing to note here is that this dragon, as well as the other three in the game, are not affected by in-game time like in Breath of the Wild. So the best way to find them is to figure out the path the dragon takes and find the key points. I mapped out the dragon's path and found that it travels around all the geoglyphs before looping. So your best bet to find the dragon is to check each Skyview tower by a geoglyph, like the Lindor's Brow Tower. But don't sit waiting around for the dragon until after you find it and are getting materials, as one full dragon loop around the map takes at least 7 in-game days, dear lord. How to upgrade the Champion's Tunic in Tears of the Kingdom. So you just got the Champion's Tunic and want to upgrade it, so here's how you do it. Well, first you need to unlock all 4 Great Fairies across Hyrule. Do 1 and you'll get the locations of the other 3. In total, the materials that you are going to need are 21 Silent Princesses, 45 Sundelions, and 2 of each Light Dragon part, excluding the spikes. To get the Silent Princesses, you can visit locations like Korok Forest and Satori Mountain. The Sundelions are mainly found on the Sky Islands. I recommend talking to Robbie and getting the Purapad tracking feature to nab these. To get all of the dragon parts, you first need to find the dragon. If only someone made a video on that. But once you find the dragon, just stay on it with some warm and cold clothes as you wait for the drops to refresh, which you can tell by the dragon horns glowing again. Once you have 2 scales, talons, fangs, and horns, you can get that 32 defense Champion's Tunic, at the appropriate price, of course. How to buy back lost armor in Tears of the Kingdom. I know that we had to sell some armor because the Hyrule economy is crumbling, oh my lord. So if you need to get a full set of armor for any such reason, you will have to complete the election quest line in Hateno Village. If you are having trouble getting the election complete, be sure to do the quests on both sides of the election. Once the election is over, you will need to go and talk to Cece to buy some of her secret stash clothes. But dear god, these prices are crazy. How to beat the rain in Tears of the Kingdom. The rain is pretty bad in this game, especially when climbing, but there is an armor set that helps you stick to walls more. There are many different cooking items to help out with sticking to walls, but if you head on over to the Lucky Clover Gazette in the Heber region, you can become a reporter, and for every 4 stories you cover at stables, you'll get a piece of the Froggy armor set. Solve all 12 mysteries to get the full set. Get this armor to glide better in Tears of the Kingdom. Link can't skydive very well with all that equipment he's got, so how do we fix that? By getting the glide set, which allows you to have more mobility when skydiving. But how do you get it? First, you want to make your way to the top of the 3 destroyed Slinky Sky Islands and fall through all of the rings. Then talk to the Construct Lad and do it again. If you finish in time, you will get 1 piece of the set. Once you get all 3, you are good to go. But remember that it doesn't negate fall damage just yet. How to defeat the super boss of Tears of the Kingdom. You know how there are different elemental versions of Gleeok? Yeah, let's just slap them all into one and take down the King Gleeok. The most important thing you need is Keese eyeballs, but if you don't have those, like a certain individual, I wonder who that could be. Then you will need to get to a spot where you can use bullet time to shoot arrows at the big lad's 3 heads. The first phase is pretty similar to other Gleeok fights, but then they start raining down elemental blasts, and just remember that the ice blasts stay on the ground for a bit, so that's chill. Now once you get this lad's health down, they will start to soar into the sky, and you have 2 options here. The first is to shoot this big fella with so many arrows that you kill him before this phase can begin, or the second option, try. To get up to the dragon, you will have to use the updrafts created by the lightning strikes while avoiding the ice blocks. Don't try to recall the ice blocks, the result is shocking. Once you get up, you can make your way to the King Gleeok. Just watch out for that giant fireball. And with some more arrows, the boss is down. More cool fuse combos in Tears of the Kingdom. By fusing any elemental item to your shield, you can effectively have 2 weapons out at once, which is neat. Fusing President Hudson to your shield, because he always has your back. Use a homing cart to your shield to get a personal segue. Fusing a cart will give you a skateboard. A dazzle fruit will stun enemies on hit, the puff room. classic. A beehive for, well, you know what happens. Fusing meat on your shield does nothing, but frozen meat will let you slide on practically any surface. And any part from the new dragon will heal you when you hit an enemy. How to return to version 1.1.1 of Tears of the Kingdom. You ever think, man, I sure do wish I could duplicate items again? Well, here is how. First things first, you'll have to save and quit your game. Pretty obvious. Then on the home screen, press the start or plus button on Tears of the Kingdom. Then go down to the option that says software update and select match version with local users. Then create a group. Here's the most important part now. Plugging your Switch to a power source that isn't the dock, then go grab a mirror and take a good look. You're cheating not only the game, but yourself. How to find the 3 dragons in Tears of the Kingdom. The 3 dragons can give you some pretty nifty materials, but they can be pretty hard to find when you actually want to find them. So here's where the 3 dragons pop up. The 4th new dragon is a bit harder to find, if only someone made a video on that. The dragons in Tears of the Kingdom now are always in the world somehow, whether that be the depths or the surface, and they aren't tied to any in-game timer. So Frosh pops out of the East Gerudo Desert Chasm and moves to the hills of Bomber Chasm before looping underground to the start. Dinral rises up from the East Akala Plains Chasm and moves all the way to Typhlo Ruins before heading down the Drennan Highlands Chasm. And my main man Nadra, can I get a Nadra the goat in the comments please, starts at the Nadra Snowfield Chasm and makes their way around Hateno Village and goes back down the East Hill Chasm right by Kakariko Village. How to look like Skyward Sword Link in Tears of the Kingdom. Back in Breath of the Wild, this outfit could only be obtained through Amiibo, but now you can find them in the world. So to get the sky clothes, you'll need to venture underground into the depths and find 3 different treasure chests. One of which is in the Retsum Grove, right under Hateno Village in this big tree stump. The second item is in the Minchi Grove, which is right under and around the road to Korok Forest in a big tree stump. The third item is at the Krenel Canyon Mine in this chest right here. And if you want the Goddess Sword on top of that, visit the Springs of Courage, Wisdom, and Power to complete the side quest there to get it at the Forgotten Temple. How to get the Phantom Ganon armor set in Tears of the Kingdom. Well, it's called the Evil Spirit armor, but you know what I mean. This armor will disguise you from enemies and give you more attack power with bones. But how do you get it? Well, you see those mazes in the sky and on the ground? You gotta go to all 3 and complete the puzzles there and fight the Flux Construct to get 1 piece of armor. Once you do that, you can now be not Phantom Ganon. How to find this totally real, not fake Zelda, trust me, in Tears of the Kingdom. It's great to actually interact with Zelda in this game, and you can find her on the Great Plateau and other spots around Hyrule. You can even get a selfie. I call this one of the thinkers. But first, you need to head over to Dueling Peak Stable and talk to Pen, where you learn that she has been kidnapped by the Yiga clan. So go to the cliffs of the Dueling Peaks and save her, and yeah, you got owned. Nullify damage with this armor in Tears of the Kingdom. Do you take too much damage in Tears of the Kingdom? Well, there are 2 options to fix this issue. 1, be good at the game, or 2, get this armor. First, you will need to head to Pico Pond in northern Hyrule and talk to Kilton and Colton. They are having issues getting a Booble Gem, if only somebody could do that. After giving Colton the gem, he will now travel the world, showing up at numerous places at night. The spots I go to are Lookout Landing and Terrytown. Once you trade enough gems to him, you'll be able to trade for pieces of mystic armor, which trade damage for rupees. What Zelda timeline does Tears of the Kingdom take place in? So after playing through Tears of the Kingdom, I was quite perplexed at what timeline the game takes place in, as at the very start of the game, the Imprisoning War is name dropped.
This is a huge discovery.
That's what I'm saying. But as the game progresses and you learn more about the Imprisoning War, things just aren't adding up with the established timeline of events. When I was exploring the depths, however, it hit me. Why are there different tunics from all timelines in the depths? With the amount of time that has passed being at minimum 20,000 years if there is only 2 Calamity Ganons, which I doubt, I bet that so much time has passed that the events of all past Zelda games could have happened again in one singular timeline. To take it even further, what if the remakes of the past games are the versions of these stories that exist in this new coincidental timeline that Tears of the Kingdom is leading? Basically, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom take place so far into the future that all past games could have repeated themselves, making any timeline placement redundant. Hyrule has probably been destroyed and rebuilt so many times now, no wonder the economy is crumbling, dear lord. How to defeat the final boss of Tears of the Kingdom. This fight is separated into 3 phases. The first one is easy, the second, ouch, and the third is slightly easier. Keyword slightly. The first phase plays out like a faster Phantom Ganon fight, so as long as you keep your distance, you can dodge, parry, or flurry rush him. For phase 2, Ganondorf goes sicko mode, and patience is key here. Assuming you've done all the main quests, your sage friends will hop into the fight as time passes. Once they're all there, you can focus on actual Ganondorf. Be sure to use the Master Sword as it will not break in this fight. Once half of his massive health bar is cleared, Ganon says 1v1 me bro, and the final phase begins. Trying to flurry rush Ganondorf is very difficult due to, well, so you have to flurry rush him twice in a row to actually hit him. Parrying also works, but if you are also having trouble with that, the gloom projectiles he sends at you can be sent back at him with the Master Sword. So that is a great way to get damage damage on him, especially if you send back a bunch at once. Rinse and repeat this process and Ganondorf will be Ganon dead. Tears of the Kingdom is not a prequel to Skyward Sword, and here's why. If you return to the Great Sky Island after leaving for the first time and go to the top of the Temple of Time, you can do a floor is lava minigame, and once completed, this construct will give you a glider fabric and tell you the origin of the Sky Islands. In Skyward Sword, Hylia took the remaining Hylians up into the sky to keep them safe after Demise's attack, but in Tears of the Kingdom, the story is quite different. Once Ganondorf got imprisoned for Link to take care of later, the sages realized that since Link's not owned by the Gloom, he would need a safe space to recover away from any trouble. And that is how the Great Sky Islands were created. Some broken fuse combos in Tears of the Kingdom. Use a spring to your sword to make it the spring-loaded hammer you miss so much. A hover stone will activate when you shoot it from an arrow. If you run out of bomb arrows, you can use a Zonai cannon. If you need to put a stake on a faraway place, you can put it on an arrow. That works. A mirror to your shield to make a discount mirror shield. A fan to your sword to make a discount deck shield. Any emitter to a boomerang so that anytime you throw it, you will try not to die. And any gloom weapon to anything else so you don't take gloom damage from it. How to get your dream home in Tears of the Kingdom. While Link and Zelda's house in Hateno Village is great, something more spacious couldn't hurt, so head on over to Terrytown and talk to Hudson. But it seems Hudson is having some troubles with his daughter? Just how much time has passed since Breath of the Wild? So you have to complete the side quest Madison's Independence, which you will need Sundelions for, which you can find on the Sky Islands. Once completed, if you have the 1,500 rupees required to purchase a plot of land, you can start setting up your house. Just be sure that you have the cash for the extra rooms, dear lord. How to dye Link's hair in Tears of the Kingdom. Now, I'm sure we all know by now that if you go to the dye shop in Hateno Village, you can dye Link's clothes and become Banana Man. However, there's one clothing item, to my knowledge, that allows you to dye Link's hair. To get this item, you will have to go right by Death Mountain until you reach Yunobo-ko headquarters and enter the South Cave. Do some digging and spelunking in this cave, and you will find a treasure chest that holds the Ember headdress. Voila! What happened to the divine beasts in Tears of the Kingdom? This also goes for the Sheikah Towers and shrines and any other stuff too. I don't think that they just whooshed away after they fulfilled their purpose, although that is most likely the case for the Guardian storage containers around Hyrule Castle, which would explain where the leftover Guardians went with the exception of the Hateno Tech Lab, because I think that lad needs to stay there or the entire place crumbles. For the divine beasts and towers, I think they were deconstructed because of the whole Calamity Ganon thing and were repurposed into other structures like Skyview Towers, or straight up demolished to prevent further whoopsie daisies. As for whatever happened to the Sheikah Slate, I still have no idea. Combat tips for Tears of the Kingdom. Everyone always asks me, C.com, how are you so good at this game? Here's how, in 3 parts. The first thing I do when fighting is jump a lot. It will cancel the remainder of the attack animation, allowing you to act or attack faster than normal. The second thing I do is quick spin, which is done by rotating the control stick a full rotation, then pressing the attack button, just like all other 3D Zelda games. Combining this with jumping can get you loads of damage fast. The third thing I do is pretty situational. If you jump towards an attack with your shield out, then block the attack in the air, the game will think you are grounded for some reason, allowing you to backflip away and enter bullet time to shoot arrows. Wacky. How much time has passed since Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom? With the amount of changes to the world of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, it begs the question of just how much time has passed since the defeat of Calamity Ganon. Places like Hateno Village now have a school for the now grown-up kids to learn, and the divine beasts as well as all of the Sheikah Tech are gone, if only someone made a video on that. But the biggest clue lies with my main man Hudson, mainly his daughter Madison. There is a quest in Terrytown that has Madison prepare to go to Gerudo Town once she reaches a certain age. But since Madison didn't exist in Breath of the Wild, if we can find out what this required age is, we can find out just how much time has passed. I'm gonna take a wild guess and say at least 7 years have gone by. But what do you think? More wacky fuse combos in Tears of the Kingdom. Use the Lizalfo's tail to any weapon to give the weapon a whole lot more reach. Any explosive attachment to your shield will explode on hit, but you'll be perfectly fine. Any Force Dweller weapons will keep the material attached when used, so you can have infinite puff rooms. Random note, did you know Task Force one-shot any Stalfos enemy? Put a rocket on a boomerang to, a shield to a claymore to make the Slaymore. A Muddle Bud works great on Battle Talus enemies. And fuse a chunk of Hyrule Castle to your sword to give enemies the bitter taste of unstable architecture. How to get the original Champion's Tunic in Tears of the Kingdom. And when I say original Champion's Tunic, I don't mean the one from the start of the game, but rather the one from Breath of the Wild, which now looks way worse in comparison to the new one, dear lord. The secret to getting this tunic lies in the depths, and by that I mean the bargainer statues located throughout the depths. You will need to find all of them to unlock the tunic. So while you're exploring around, you'll realize that all of these bargainer statues are right under the Temple of Time, the Springs of Courage, Wisdom, and Power, as well as the Forgotten Temple. That sure is neat. I wonder what relevance that has. Once you find them all for the low price of 400 lost souls, you can get the Tunic of Memories. How to get the Tunic of the Wild set in Tears of the Kingdom. Let's go Breath of the Wild. You lads like Breath of the Wild? Originally, this armor set was a reward for getting all 120 shrines, but now it can be found in the depths, which makes me think, can you scan a Breath of the Wild amiibo to get it? I don't know, I don't have one, so let me know. While exploring Hyrule, I'm sure you've seen those giant skeletons around the place. There are 3 located in the Hebra, Eldin, and Gerudo regions, respectively. So find your way to these Bone Bros and make your way into the same location in the depths to find all 3 pieces. And that's it. Voila! What is the best boss in Tears of the Kingdom? I will only be ranking the bosses that give you a heart container afterwards and the final boss. Here we go. 7. Phantom Ganon. Well, I think this is a great fight. I've already fought a bunch of Phantom Ganons at this point, but fighting multiple was an experience. 6. Mukdorok. Pretty neat. Splatoon moment. 5. Seized Construct. Man, I love Punch-Out. 4. Colgera. The fight was just a big spectacle and I loved every bit of it. 3. Marbled Goma. I didn't expect to be bowling with Yunobo and to enjoy it just as much as I did. Wacky. 2. Queen Gibdo. Using the mirror shield on the boss to reveal the weakness reminded me of classic Zelda bosses. An overall fantastic time. 1. Ganondorf, my man. I think this might be the best final boss in the series. How to get Majora's Mask in Tears of the Kingdom. This has been a well-requested item, but I don't know why because this game is easy, right guys? So here's how to nab the mask, which makes most enemies not attack you. To get the mask, I must say you will have to fight your fair share of enemies to get it, so come prepared. First, make your way to the Colosseum by the Great Plateau. Then realize you don't want to be there anymore and make your way directly downwards to the floating Colosseum in the depths. You don't want to be here even more. Now you'll see this chest in the middle, and the plan is simple. Fight 5 Lynels, with each one increasing in difficulty. How do you fight these Lynels? If only someone made a video on that. Be sure to save between each Lynel fight, and once defeated, you can nab the mask. Can you take a Korok to the final boss of Tears of the Kingdom? I know we are all huge fans of Koroks, right? Since you can now pick up Koroks in Tears of the Kingdom, just how far can you take them? It is very difficult, but if you manage to get a Korok under Hyrule Castle, well, that didn't work, so here's Frederick, the best Korok in the world, and he's going to throw hands with the Demon King. Totally. Check out the full video. How to get the Korok mask in Tears of the Kingdom. You gotta love the Korok mask. You gotta love getting the Korok seeds, right? Just a warning, you will need to fight a Hinox to get this one after you get trapped by the Yiga clan in this Colosseum. To get to said Colosseum, you'll need to make your way to Korok Forest, or the road to Korok Forest, and hop down this chasm. Now start making your way to where Korok Forest is above ground, just watch out for the hands. And once you are around Korok Grove, keep going northwest to find this Colosseum. What could the DLC for Tears of the Kingdom be? Is the game gonna even get DLC? I think, probably. So what do I think will pop up in the potential DLC? If it comes in 2 waves, just like Breath of the Wild's DLC, I can see the first wave of content being some new outfits and maybe a trial of the sword-like mode, just like Breath of the Wild. But the second wave is where things get interesting. I don't see how there could be a Champion's Ballad type expansion, but I have another idea. And it's a Xenoblade-style DLC story just like Xenoblade 2 and 3. I'm a big fan. I could see a fully fledged prequel/epilogue where you either do wacky stuff after the end of the game, or a prequel which focuses on the rebuilding efforts of Hyrule with Link and Zelda. No giant looming threat to the world or anything like that, just nice chill vibes, thank you. Here are some cooking tips in Tears of the Kingdom. Only cook one of every hearty food at a time, as even cooking one will give you a full health recovery. The same goes for any Endura foods as well. If you want to regrow hearty foods, you can complete the side quests with Simon in Hateno Village to get access to the nearby farmland to plant some hearty radishes. When creating elixirs with monster parts, the more rare the monster part is, the longer the effect will last. And a golden apple with any non-elixir ingredients will guarantee an extra good meal. The Blood Moon does the same thing, but I ain't seen that anytime soon. What could Master Mode be in Tears of the Kingdom? But C.com DLC hasn't even been confirmed yet. Source, dude, trust me. If Master Mode does make a return, I expect to see all of the changes from Breath of the Wild, such as regenerating health, harder enemies, and sky platforms back. But let me suggest a few more changes to really put the master in Master Mode. First thing would be to give enemies more delayed attacks, Dark Souls style. Imagine a Lionel being a cheeky little lad and just waiting a bit longer to attack you to mess up your flurry rush or parry. Second thing would be to allow enemies to use puff shrooms and muddle buds, just like how the player can. The muddle bud could cause Link to become jinxed, which means you can't attack. The third thing I would include would be to put more armor on enemies. That sounds like a good time. And the final thing I would change, it's absolutely evil, but have the only way to recover from gloom damage be Sundelions, Lights of Blessing, or Heart Containers. I am evil. Some crazy fuse combos in Tears of the Kingdom. Fusing a slab of meat to an arrow will be able to lure monsters towards it. A hydrant to your shield and any electric one-handed weapon give you an easy way to soak enemies and cause mass electrocution. Fuse a torch to the Master Sword to fulfill the prophecy of the Master Torch. You don't have to fuse a spring to get the bouncy boy. A sand seal plushie or mushroom also work. Fuse a key swing to your weapon to give it long throw. An Octorok balloon makes you fly. That's not crazy, that's just expected. A Korok frond does nothing on shield. Shoutouts to Frederick crypto, and a rock to a claymore so you can do a jump attack and solve certain Korok puzzles. How to get the Tunic of Time set in Tears of the Kingdom. The 3 pieces of armor that you are looking for are in the depths, just like the other special tunics, so here's how you get them. The 3 pieces are all in the western part of the depths. You can find the cap by going to the lava falls right under the hot spring in the Heber region. Just watch out for, that. You can find the tunic by going to the Lindor Canyon mine, which is right underneath the Lindor's Brow Skyview Tower, and the trousers can be found quickly after you get to the Gerudo Canyon. Jump down the Gerudo Summit Chasm and mosey on over a bit southeast to find the pants. Here's where to find all Lynels in Tears of the Kingdom. There are a lot, so here are the Lynels on the surface. One at Hebra West Summit, south of Hebra Plunge, north of Lindor's Brow, northeast of Jetto Bridge, west of Illumani Plateau, one in Risoka Snowfield, one in Starly Plateau, one in Natal Wetlands, another right across in Harfin Valley, on top of Kama Plateau, just north of Leneru Promenade, right by Arabia Plain, another on the Millennium Sandbar, another north of Mifa Court, and one southeast of Skull Lake. Why torture Koroks in Tears of the Kingdom? I mean, look at them! All they do is help you with expanding your inventory. I don't see the harm in that. This DIY Korok was named by my chat Frederick, and he is just perfect. If anyone goes on torturing Koroks, I want the Frederick profile picture army to simply say yahaha. I'm sure that'll change their minds. Everyone say yahaha in the comments. And here's how to build your own Frederick. The secret forest stage is made up using 6 materials. To get the wood, you need to chop down trees. To get the Korok frond, you need to chop down trees. The 2 Octorok eyes from Octoroks, and 1 piece of prime meat. First, cook the prime meat until it is seared, but do not pick it up. Stick 2 bundles of wood together horizontally. Put the 2 eyes on the Korok frond with the pupils facing upwards. Then stick the leaf to the wood and the flat side of the meat to the back to make a backpack. And now you too can have Frederick. Yahaha. How to get infinite gems in Tears of the Kingdom. While a good way to get gems is to mine at ore deposits, there is a better way to get the high value cash money rocks that you deserve. Head on over to the Lakeside Stable in the Faron region and head north until you find these guys. The big guy from the original reveal trailer. These lads are called Dondons, and they eat rocks. So you want to feed these folks a maximum of 5 luminous stones each, and after some real time has passed, the Dondons will pass some kidney gems for you to pick up and sell. Profit. Why is it nobody remembers Link in Tears of the Kingdom? For being a sequel to Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom sure doesn't talk a lot about Breath of the Wild. But why is that? Well, the first thing to note is that there has been quite a lot of time in between the 2 games. I say at least 8 years, but I could be wrong. Check out that video. In the grand scheme of life for most people in Hyrule, the Calamity was only an event that really only had any action happen within a month or so, as the Divine Beast only started acting up after Link woke back up. And the final fight at Hyrule Castle probably took 10 minutes maximum, so with that and the fact that from an outsider's perspective, nobody knows how the Calamity went away, and Link isn't the type of lad to share his accomplishments or talk. So if a person Link talked to briefly many years ago remembers him, I think that's more of a surprise than them forgetting. Here's where all depths Lynels are in Tears of the Kingdom. Got a whole lot of them to go through, so here we go. Starting off, there is 1 underneath Hyrule Castle, another 5 underneath the Colosseum by the Great Plateau, and another right under the Outskirts Stable, another right southwest of Riverside Stable, and 1 southeast of Wetlands Stable. And this is why the depths are so great. Of course every single stable is a Lynel underneath it. Of course it does. What's the difference between gloom and malice in Tears of the Kingdom? When first booting up Tears of the Kingdom, some of the first words you hear are, "The strange gloom keeps getting thicker." But what exactly is gloom? Folks who have played Breath of the Wild were quick to point out the fact that gloom and malice are practically the same. Both hurt and can take over machines. The only difference is that malice hurts and gloom hurts different. I think that gloom is a more concentrated form of malice that is able to do even more damage, decay weapons, and power up enemies. It really goes to show how powerful Demon King Ganondorf is because Hyrule lost to his leftovers, dear lord. Where to find all Gleeoks in Tears of the Kingdom? There are a lot of these lads in all 3 areas of the map, so here we go. A flame fellow on the Bridge of Hylia, a shocking lad in the Colosseum by the Great Plateau, another fire boy at Spectacle Rock, a chilly lizard north of the Gerudo Highlands Tower, a flame Gleeok west of the Tabantha Great Bridge, another chill guy north of the Rose Pro Pass Tower, and another frosty fellow northwest of Snowfield Stable, a thunder Gleeok right by Akala Citadel, shocking, a flame Gleeok southeast of Eldon Canyon Tower, and now it's time for the big boys. You'll find a king Gleeok right above Eventide Island, another one above the area northwest of Gerudo Town, another one in the sky to the west of Rose Pro Pass Tower, and the final lad is under Typhlo Ruins. Potential update/DLC idea for Tears of the Kingdom. You know those great alt-hand creations that you make and save to your auto-build ability? Well, I think it would be pretty cool if you were able to share those creations with fellas online. Now, I have no idea how to actually code this, but I can imagine walking up to some fella at Lookout Landing, selecting a build, and getting a nifty code to share online. Doing so, I could share Frederick with the world. Can I get a yahaha comment on every one of my videos? That'd be hilarious. Are Calamity Ganon and Ganondorf the same thing in Tears of the Kingdom? Short answer, long answer. When Calamity Ganon, aka Calamgam, first showed up 10,000 years ago, it got owned by Hyrule, but 10,000 years later, Hyrule got owned. And it was due to Calamity Ganon's damage in Hyrule that weakened the seal on Ganondorf that Rauru placed on him, causing the events of Tears of the Kingdom. When Rauru hit Ganondorf with the Falcon Punch, it was his arm that was holding Ganon in place with a spell. But it didn't seal all of Ganondorf, so there was a little leak on his power, which eventually clogged up to create Calamity Ganon. Then Zelda had to do the plumbing job. So it's safe to say that Calamgam was a creation of Ganondorf, as well as the result of Hyrule's worst boss at league. We need the Mario Bros. For that one, dear lord. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, just like its predecessor Breath of the Wild, is a fantastic game for speedrunning. People have already beaten the game in under an hour, but gamers were craving a different type of speedrun. That's me. I'm Gamers. But as it turns out, a few days ago I did a live stream of taking this DIY Korok that my chat ended up naming Frederick all the way to the final boss. But that's when I got a great suggestion. Just how fast can you make Frederick when starting from a new save file? Fascinated by this new idea, I booted up a fresh copy of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and started a new save. So this is the history of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Frederick %. And by history, I mean the 4 speedruns, that's it. I'm still running the game though. Side note, I have zero knowledge about any speedrun skips, tricks, or anything of the sort. Let's go. What happened to the Guardians in Tears of the Kingdom? You know Guardians. You gotta love the Guardians. Bring them back, please. I don't want this, please. So with their absence in Tears of the Kingdom, except for the one Hateno Tech Lab, what exactly happened to them? The answer lies with Hyrule Castle and the Guardian storage containers. Fun fact, these pillars are Guardian storage containers. So I'm sure that folks in Hyrule found a way to shove these lads back into them and move them underground, which would be easy enough to do since they are light enough to do a kickflip. And I'm sure putting them back underground had no major consequences to the structural integrity of the castle. Are Link and Zelda in a relationship in Tears of the Kingdom? For some reason, I feel like this is a highly debated topic, so let's get into it. Stream chatters and longtime viewers know that I am the ultimate relationship expert. Have you seen the woman deflectors? I mean, it was pretty obvious that Zelda had feelings for Link in Breath of the Wild. Even my main man Cass said so, and I trust every word that lad says. Side note, where is he in Tears of the Kingdom? What happened? But although they seem to get along quite well when spelunking under Hyrule Castle, it wasn't until I went to Hateno Village and saw that Zelda had moved into Link's house and even added an extra room to study in private. Now why would Zelda need that? Breath of the Wild versus Tears of the Kingdom Link. Who wins in a fight? To make it even, let's put both Links at the peak of their power right before the final bosses of their respective games. So for Breath of the Wild, Link's abilities, we got Urbosa's Fury, I don't like Rivali, Mipha's Grace, Daruk's Protection, Magnesis, Cryonis, Stasis, Lamp Oil, Rope, Bombs. And for Tears of the Kingdom Link, we got Ultra Hand, Fuse, Ascend, Recall, as well as all of the Sage avatars. The real decider of this fight will be dependent on whether Breath of the Wild Link can activate Stasis and Ancient Arrow go bye-bye. But when that happens, I'm sure the sages will pull a get down Mr. President, so I think Tears of the Kingdom Link takes this one. I'd still beat both of them though. Where to refight dungeon bosses in Tears of the Kingdom. If you fought a story boss that you want to fight again and get good rewards from, here's where to find them in the depths. Polgara can be found right under the Hebra West Summit, under the Picata Stone Grove, and to the east of the Gerudo Labyrinth. Muktarok can be found right under Rowan Plain, to the west underneath Perrytown, and another underneath the upland Zorana Tower. Marbled Goma can be found right by the Lineru Wetlands Chasm, right under Kakariko Village, and pretty close to Blue Tile Lake. Queen Gibdo can be found north of the Yiga Clan Hideout Chasm, right under Waska's Bluff, and right under Wetland Stable. How to do the duplication glitch in Tears of the Kingdom. First off, you are going to need materials for a hot air balloon vehicle in any multi-shot bow. Get them from Lionel's, that seems to work well, if only someone made a video on that. Now you want to make your way to the Popla Foothills Skyview Tower and head west right into the Hills of Bomber Chasm. Can I get up? Then make your way east until you find this light route and the Construct Factory. This area is neat, but what's even better is the chasm right above you. Make a hot air balloon at this spot and start rising until you get to the Tobio's Hollow Chasm. You might need some more batteries if only Totally someone made a video on that. Once you're up, make your way into the chasm. Now, the reason why this glitch happens is because Link is going between the surface and the depths, and the game can only have one part loaded at a time. You can see the fog disappear when you reach the surface area. So take your multi-shot bow and stand in the depths area and shoot towards the surface. And there are your items. How to pet the dog in Tears of the Kingdom. Alrighty, step 1. Go to a stable and find the good old Hylian retriever. Look at him. What a lad. Fun fact, if you give this lad one piece of meat, and then another, and then another, and then a few more, then this lad will lead you to a nifty treasure chest. That's real neat. Oh yeah, petting the doggo. This technically counts, right? Nintendo Direct tomorrow. Here are your predictions. I'll let you know if they're going to happen or not, because I'm a lad on the internet, and that means I'm never wrong about anything. First off, you lot said Tears of the Kingdom DLC. I'd have to agree, and I can't wait to see the Frederick expansion pack. Yahaha. There's been a rumor about an older game remake coming to the Switch. In my heart, it's an Earthbound remake with the clay art style used in its marketing, but in my mind, it's either a Link to the Past or Super Mario RPG. Metroid Prime 4, a man can hope. Same goes for Wind Waker. Splatoon 3 DLC, I'd probably say so. Silk Song. And if Mario Galaxy 3 is announced, world peace will be achieved. Is Ganondorf the same Ganondorf as Ganondorf in Tears of the Kingdom? Well, the Ganondorf we see in Tears of the Kingdom is a haha Giga Chad funny man. Is this lad the same Ganondorf as the one from Ocarina of Time? For those who don't know, Ganondorf first popped up in Ocarina of Time, and in Twilight Princess as well as Wind Waker, we see versions of Flute of Space Ganondorf, but this time in 2 separate timelines. Is the Ganondorf we see in Tears of the Kingdom from the 3rd split of the timeline? It wouldn't make sense because we see him swear loyalty to the GOAT himself in this game. Now, because of Demise's curse, they are technically the same person, but the Demise's Hatred Incarnated title can go to anyone, not just Ganondorf, so I got no idea. What is a Korok in Tears of the Kingdom? Actually, though, you all know the Koroks, but what exactly are there? There's not a lot of core features to go off of other than a leaf and some wood. But let's start by looking at the origin of these lads. And no, that does not mean Frederick, although feel free to comment yahaha as many times as you want. It all starts with Wind Waker, everyone's favorite Zelda game with Wind Waker in the title. The Koroks are chilling with a Great Deku Tree just like in Breath of the Wild, but it is because of the Great Flood in Wind Waker that the Koroks look like Koroks instead of their usual form of the Kokiri from Ocarina of Time. Yup, the Kokiri turned into the Koroks. Reconsider your actions. Yahaha. I was right about the Nintendo Direct. Well, if you don't count all the other stuff that wasn't in it. We got a remake of Mario RPG and a game I'm dubbing Super Princess Peach 2 for now, and Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. Let's go. Pikmin 4 looks fantastic, and holy moly, Pikmin 1 and 2 on Switch. Oh my lord, do you lads want to pick marathon? Because I can do a pick marathon. We got some Snake Eater. What a fruit. Penny's Big Breakaway looks like a fantastic 3D platformer. Mario Kart now has my man Petey. Let's go. A new WarioWare that looks hilarious. New Zelda amiibos, big win. And a new 2D Mario game that looks incredible. What happened to Cass in Tears of the Kingdom? We all know Cass. He's great and he plays the best song in Breath of the Wild, but where exactly is he in Tears of the Kingdom? I've checked all the spots where he was in Breath of the Wild. Even in Rito Village and his kids are still there, but no sign of Cass. Father of the Year, everyone. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if Cass isn't even in the game files anymore. So I went chatting with Pen, doing the Lucky Clover Gazette questline, and after solving all the quests, Pen will be where Cass was in Breath of the Wild, saying that there was once a legendary bard that chilled out at this spot. Was? What do you mean by was? It's either Cass dipped off to another kingdom, just like how Yona came from another land to Zora's domain, or he's dead, and I much prefer the former. If there's one thing that I hate about Tears of the Kingdom, I would have to say it's the graphics. And not because they are bad or anything, I just think the game would look a bit better if it was just a bit more realistic. Ah, there we go. Oh, perfect. Oh, tell me that's not the best thing you've ever seen in your life. Could that be the first one? How to get the Fierce Deity set in Tears of the Kingdom. While I was streaming my shield-only playthrough of Tears of the Kingdom, I realized that I needed some attack-up armor to even stand a chance. So here's how to get the Fierce Deity armor. The first spot you want to go to is the Akala Citadel. Go to the very top, watch out for the hands, and enter this tiny hole in the building to get the chest plate. The next spot is the right eye of Skull Lake. Make your way to the top and then drop down into the cave to get the mask. And the final piece of armor is located southwest of Lookout Landing. All you gotta do is navigate the cave of the ancient tree stump to find the pants. How were the depths created in Tears of the Kingdom? I don't know if I'm the only one who has this question, but how is there a giant landmass underneath Hyrule that is in a lot of ways a mirror to Hyrule, with the high areas on the surface being low areas in the depths? So I have an absolutely insane theory that will probably never be proven right or wrong, so here I go. You know how in Wind Waker there was a great flood that flooded all of Hyrule? Now hear me out. What if the sunken Hyrule turned into the depths, but is now all dried up and musty? All of the plant life there mostly looks like it could belong in a coral reef under the sea, and with the amount of time that has past from any previous Zelda game, I see it as a possibility. But what do you think? What happened to the divine beasts in Tears of the Kingdom? In a previous video, I talked about these big lads and concluded that they were taken down and used to make the Skyview Towers and such. But I forgot to talk about one vital piece of information that is in Breath of the Wild's ending. After Calamity Ganon is defeated in the super secret ending cutscene, we can hear Zelda say, "Baruta, looks like it stopped walking." I don't know why I missed this. It makes so much sense that the divine beasts, having served their purpose, would just stop working. Just like how the shrines are made to train the hero for fighting the Calamity, and how the Zonai shrines were made to get rid of the corruption in Link's arm. Wait, why am I talking about shrines now? Ganondorf versus Ganondorf versus Ganondorf versus Ganondorf. Who wins in a fight? Let's take all the Ganondorfs from the 3D Zelda games, which is really just two people, one guy's multiple iterations, and I'm not counting Hyrule Warriors. First off, these folks at the height of their power can all go crazy, but who would win in a fight and still stay sane at the end of it? Out of all the wacky abilities Ganondorf has, I'd say the best abilities we see are from Ocarina of Time's Ganondorf. Being able to fly whenever you feel like is such an advantage going against these lads who mainly stay on the ground. Sure, these guys have the hops and shoot projectiles, but I don't see how you can beat flight. I can say though, this may be the greatest doubles match of tennis of all time. Have you noticed how similar Tears of the Kingdom is to Ocarina of Time? It may not seem like it at first, but I think that it all revolves around the Master Sword's appearance. After getting the Master Sword at the start of both games, a lad named Rauru guides you where you need to go. Then you go awaken some sages before fighting Ganondorf. And with the time travel plot in this game, it really feels like Zelda's playing the role of Link in Ocarina of Time, and we are Sheik, making sure everything falls into place in the present. All of this makes me think how crazy it would be to get a full Ocarina of Time remake for the next Nintendo console. How do Zora and Rito both exist in Tears of the Kingdom? For those who don't know, in The Wind Waker, the Rito were an evolution of the Zora because the seas are too dangerous to traverse now, or something like that. So if the Zora evolved, then why is it that they are still in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom? Well, the answer is surprisingly simple, but the problem did drive me crazy until Tears of the Kingdom released. It all comes back to Yona, who clearly states that she came to Zora's domain from another land, which makes so much sense. Why did I think Hyrule was the entire world? Like, what's with that? When will the Tears of the Kingdom DLC release? Now you may be saying, C.com, there hasn't been any official announcement yet. Source, dude, trust me. In order to figure this out, let's go take a look at how Breath of the Wild's DLC was shown off. Looking at the announcement trailer, I see that it was originally announced on the 14th, about a month before the game released. And the first official trailer popping up in June and releasing later that month, with the Champions Ballad DLC releasing in December. I can see why Nintendo opted to not announce anything yet, as they most likely don't have any content to show. If I were to give an estimate though, I say expect a trailer in mid-August and one in December. Who are the three dragons in Tears of the Kingdom? Now I say who because, well, yeah. If the only way to become a dragon is to eat the forbidden fruit gummy, then how is it that we do not see the three other folks who draconified? The three dragons that were in Breath of the Wild can't be seen anywhere in the Geoglyph cutscenes, so I say they either haven't went munch yet or are super high above the clouds. The three elemental armor sets can give us some insight, but I think that these were made to honor the dragons instead of the clothes the Zonai wore before nom nom. Since we know that the Zonai descended from the heavens, I can imagine that three of the oldest Zonai closest to goddess Hylia ate some tears and turned into dragons. But what do you think? What happened to Wolf Link in Tears of the Kingdom? And no, I'm not talking about the actual Wolf Link from Twilight Princess, although technically yes. I mean the Wolf Link amiibo. Back in Breath of the Wild, you could scan this lad into the game to get a travel companion, and by doing the Cave of Shadows in Twilight Princess HD for the Wii U, you can increase his heart count up to 20. And now this is what happens when you scan him in Tears of the Kingdom. What happened to him? Now this is most likely due to Breath of the Wild being a Wii U game as well, so that's why there is compatibility, but I wouldn't be surprised if in a future update Nintendo adds it as well as releases a certain game on the Switch. Please Nintendo, I do not care how much it costs. Wind Waker as well, please, thank you very much. Where is the Triforce in Tears of the Kingdom? I suppose this also counts for Breath of the Wild, because except for this one moment at the end of Breath of the Wild, we do not see the Triforce at all. In the past of Hyrule, there isn't any sign of the Triforce either, although the Hylian crest still has the Triforce on it, so it had to come from somewhere, right? I'm not going crazy, you're going crazy. That leaves me with two possibilities for what happened to the Triforce. One, the Triforce was broken a long time ago and the shards were used to create the secret stones. Or two, people just forgot about the Triforce over time. It's not impossible, highly unlikely, but not impossible. Have you noticed how similar the depths and surface of Hyrule are to each other? It really fascinates me by how flipping the map upside down, essentially, you can give the player so many more options to explore the world. Expect most open world games to come out in the next 5 years to have an area similar to the depths, I'm calling it. Aside from the fact that high areas on the surface are now low areas in the depths, and how light roots are where the surface shrines are, and how the names are reversed. But did you notice that under every goddess statue is a bargainer statue, under every town is an abandoned mine, hot springs are right above lava falls, under these stables are Lynels, under the gravestones stones are, oh goodness me. And the trees are even lined up the same. What the heck? How far back is the past in Tears of the Kingdom? Oh man, I sure do hate it when I fall into a chasm and travel back in time, but if that were me, I would wonder just how far back in time I went. Well, a solid way to figure this out would be to find out how many Calamity Ganons spawned into the world. Because each Calamity takes 10,000 years to accumulate, it would be a good measuring tool. We know that there were at least 3 Calamities due to Hyrule preparing with the Divine Beast 10,000 years ago, so that sets the minimum time to 30,000 years, but there is some more clues as well. In the Forgotten Temple, we get to see a map of Hyrule from the era of founding. We see that the dueling peaks have not become the dueling peaks yet. So how did these lads break apart? I'm assuming a Divine Beast beam blast or something related to the Calamity, so in conclusion, I have no idea. What is the best shrine in Tears of the Kingdom? Now, there are a ton of shrines in this game with a bunch of unique challenges to them, but which one is objectively the best? Now, I will exclude the blessing shrines because they swapped out the puzzles for vibes, and I can appreciate that. All shrines in this game are great, but a highlight for me would be the Proving Ground shrines. These challenges take the best of Trial of the Sword from Breath of the Wild and put it into a tiny little shrine. Adorable. But the best shrine in the game is undoubtedly the Mogisari Shrine, titled Courage to Jump, because it is literally Mario Kart in a Zelda game. This is fantastic. Let me know your favorite shrine in the comments. Yahaha. What will the new amiibo for Tears of the Kingdom do? With the latest Nintendo Direct, we got to see the Haha Giga Chad Funny Man and Depression Incarnate as cool little figurines. But what exactly will these lads do in Tears of the Kingdom? Now, I'm sure that there will be a paraglider fabric for each of them, but wouldn't it be cool to get armor sets that can enhance the effectiveness of light element-used weapons and gloom weapons specifically? It wouldn't break the game balance-wise, but it would still be a fun reward for players. Also, there's a funny Noah Xenoblade 3 amiibo coming out soon. I just want the Noah outfit. His name would work so well. Have you seen the arms? Come on! What is the worst fuse combo in Tears of the Kingdom? This is a tricky question because most fuse weapons help you out in one way or another. The bad ones usually just do nothing. But I'm looking for a combination that goes out of its way to make sure you have a bad time. Real contemplating life working bad times. At first, I thought it would be bees, but they only attack you if you miss the enemy, which is fairly unlikely to happen. I thought of bomb flowers, but those will still damage the enemy more than you, usually. But the worst fuse to your weapon in this entire game has to be the time bomb. It doesn't detonate when you whack an enemy, and even if you get hit, it will start ticking down until it goes boom. The spring is still the best fusion, though. Here's what to do after finishing Tears of the Kingdom. You beat the game, and now you are right back in Hyrule like nothing ever happened. Well, this happens in every Zelda game, so get used to it, because obviously you'd want to play more Zelda games, right? But oh man, where do you start? If you haven't played Breath of the Wild yet, which I'm assuming most of the people who played Tears of the Kingdom did, then play that game. And if you haven't really liked the puzzle solving and combat aspects of Tears of the Kingdom, may I recommend Skyward Sword HD on the Switch. You'll also learn about that wacky flashing the Master Sword does from time to time. Motion controls are great too. And if you were a big fan of the dungeons in Tears of the Kingdom, I would recommend playing through Ocarina of Time on the Switch's Nintendo 64 Online. Funny guy. Where are the champions in Tears of the Kingdom? They obviously aren't in Tears of the Kingdom physically because, well... But what happened to the champion abilities? It's not like the champions were forgotten about. There is Mipha Court. Daruk still got the big boy statue. Urbosa is mentioned a few times in a book, and that's all the champions, right? To find out what happened to the champion abilities, you have to look to the ending of Breath of the Wild, where we can see the lads looking down on Hyrule with King Rome, boss for Amos Hyrule. Wait a few seconds and they just dip out. My work here is done. Now that the spirits have moved on, Link can't harness their power anymore. Also, it would completely break Tears of the Kingdom. That too. One of the worlds that all shrines reward in Tears of the Kingdom. So you traveled all around Hyrule and got every shrine completed, and what do you get for it? The Ancient Heroes aspect, which when fully upgraded gets you 84 total defense, which isn't as good as the combination right here, which gives you 88, but it's still one of the best armor pieces in the game. It looks like this lad might have also had a secret stone on his forehead, but more importantly, I think that this armor gives us a glimpse at the hero who helped stop Calamity Ganon 10,000 years ago. After 20 games with the lad in a green cap, it is cool to see that the spirit of the hero can be anyone, and not just some highly unnamed Link, or my dude. Although I'm still calling it, this Zonai is 100% named Link. What is the best way to fight in Tears of the Kingdom? Now, I'm going to exclude using Ultra Hand because that is another can of worms that I am not getting into right now. But what weapon is the most effective for fighting in general? The only one that comes close to the very top of this list has to be anything with a bomb. Shot. Why, you ask? It's simple. Lamp oil. Rope. Bombs. But the true best way to fight in Tears of the Kingdom doesn't even need a weapon. It's a shield. If it looks like it does damage, it looks like it can be parried. Lionel, easy. Literally any other monster in the game, easy. Keith, not so much though. I was wrong about redeads in Tears of the Kingdom. Now you may be saying, oh, but C.com redeads aren't in Tears of the Kingdom. And you would be exactly right. In a past video I made before the game came out, I said that these lads were redeads, but as it turns out, they are Gibdos. I mean, can you really blame me though? A redead looks like this, and a Gibdo looks like this. You see what I mean? Gibdos are the funny mummies that do the funny dances sometimes. sometimes, and the redeads are the cause of many childhood traumas. And now these Gibdos in Tears of the Kingdom are just goofy lads that crawl around and haha funny Star Wars jokes. But I would much rather take these lads over the terrifying screams of the others, that's for certain. Can you beat Tears of the Kingdom using only a shield? And I don't mean fusing a shield to the Master Sword and whacking away at enemies. The rules are simple. Any damage you do to an enemy has to be with a shield. So surprisingly, the bosses aren't as difficult as I thought they would be, except Queen Gibdo. Dear Lord, hitting this thing is a struggle. The final stretch was terrifying to play through as well. First off, the Lionel was a parry nightmare. The Horde battle isn't too bad, but the final boss, oh my goodness. Ganondorf made me feel like I was playing Dark Souls all over again with how many times I had to parry. But with that said, first try, yeah! What is the best dungeon quest in the entire Zelda series? It may just be recency bias because the game just came out, but holy moly, the Wind Temple quest rules so hard. I'm sure the story and everything is great, but I'm here to talk about the task of getting to the temple in the first place. You start off near the peak of the surface already in the Hebrew region, and you just keep going up. Tulin's ability is specifically made for this area, and it shows. The game practically turns into a 3D platformer for a time. Then once you start nearing the top of the cyclone, the game turns into glorified doodle jump, and then you get above the clouds, the music fades out, it's all serene, and then you dive into the cyclone with the music. Oh my lord, even with the warm armor, I'm still getting chills. Another thing that I hate about Tears of the Kingdom would have to be the limit for attaching objects together. Don't get me wrong, I love Ultra Hand, although Recall is the best ability in the game, just saying. Now I know that is needed for the game to not completely break more so than it already is, but how am I supposed to build my Frederick army when I can only have 20 odd things stuck together at once? On that note, for every 100 likes, 100 comments, or for every subscription I get on this video, I will make one Frederick on a later live stream to add to the Yaha army. I'm off for a few days, I'm sure I won't come back and regret this at all. Right, is Hyrule really Hyrule in Tears of the Kingdom? Now I'm not saying that because the locations of key areas are off, that's pretty par for the course with Zelda games, but I mainly ask this due to the founding of Hyrule shown in Tears of the Kingdom. The Kingdom of Hyrule was established not too long after Skyward Sword, so this could very well be the original Hyrule, but then why are the Koroks and all the other tunics in Tears of the Kingdom? My guess is that due to the incredibly long amount of time that has passed between the open world Zelda games and all of the others, the Kingdom of Hyrule was probably destroyed and created again. So while this isn't the same Hyrule as the one shown in Ocarina of Time and so on, it sure still is Hyrule. I miss the Guardians in Tears of the Kingdom. It's not that I hate the new Gloomhands enemy, in fact I quite enjoy fighting these lads in the ensuing Phantom Ganon fight, but something about them not being in Tears of the Kingdom just doesn't sit right with me. There's just something about that piano track that just elevates the experience, and it is something I will look forward to when I replay Breath of the Wild in the Zelda-thon. More importantly, although the Gloomhands are great since they are permanently attached to the ground, I can't make them do a kickflip like I could with the Guardians. And now you may be saying, oh, C.com, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And I'll be honest, you aren't wrong, but I go to the Hateno Ancient Tech Lab sometimes just to reminisce. Here's one thing I want out of a potential DLC for Tears of the Kingdom. Now I know that the game may not be getting any DLC at all, but I still have a hunch I'm calling it. So what would I want? Now when you complete temples in this game, you get avatars, which allow you to have these little lads follow you around. Having 5 as the max is great, but hear me out. What if instead of having 5 lads, you had a whole lot more? And it wasn't actually The Legend of Zelda at all, but it was Pikmin. Surprisingly, a lot of folks think this is a farming series. That shit is wacky. So why don't you learn more about the series by seeing my playthrough of Pikmin 1, 2, 3, and 4 on stream. Pick Marathon moment. Be there tomorrow. Why do the yellow Pikmin have ears in the Pikmin series? Not only are they always busted by flying higher and having the ability to carry bombs and conduct electricity, but why do they need to have ears to do so? While playing Pikmin 1 in my Pick Marathon stream series, I wondered just why is this? As well as how I can see the burrowing Snagret burrowing past the water here, which is very funny. But while plucking some more yellows out of the ground, it hit me. Also, for every subscription I get in this video, I will plant one Pikmin, but it's the ground. Dirt, shovel. The Pikmin's ears are shovels. Oh my god. Mario Kart 8's Wave 5 DLC is coming out soon, and holy moly, all of the tracks go crazy. We know from the Nintendo Direct that we got Petey, Wiggler, and Kamek as characters, as well as Squeaky Clean Sprint, so gamers can finally know what hygiene is. We got Koopa Cape, what a classic, good lord. Los Angeles Laps, just the funny Bop Baz in the soundtrack. Moonview Highway, oh my lord, it's peak, your honor, it's peak. Athens Dash, if only Julius Caesar had a super horn in my right game. Daisy Cruiser from Double Dash, this map went crazy back in the day. Sunset Wilds. Yup, and Vancouver Velocity, which is my favorite tour track. Can't wait to play this. Speaking of, if this video gets 15,000 likes or if 1,000 folks subscribe on this video, I'll ruin my bank account and play the tracks on stream using this crazy contraption. Dear Lord. I made a mistake in Tears of the Kingdom, as well as in real life too. So there I was, returning from my vacation to my conveniently powered on computer with YouTube Studio open to check the amount of Fredericks I'll have to make, and well... 3,931 Fredericks as of right now. Also, if you subscribe, like, or comment on this video, it will also add to the total amount of Fredericks I have to make. It's pretty obvious that I won't be able to do this in one stream, so it'll be a series. This Wednesday coming up, I'll be doing a Q&A podcast live stream on YouTube, so give me some questions to answer in the comments. It could be about games, YouTube, or how Moonview Highway is in Wave 5. Oh my lord, we are so bad! I just created the most terrifying Zelda enemy ever. Potential DLC for Tears of the Kingdom, maybe? And now you might be asking, but C.com, what could that enemy possibly be? And while I looked at all the spooky lads from Tears of the Kingdom, like the Gloom Hands, Gibdos, and the most terrifying of all being the Choo-Choos and Octoroks, yahaha, no thank you. But it wasn't until I reached Hateno Ancient Tech Lab when I thought of this idea. What if I took the Guardian from Breath of the Wild, which isn't too scary until the piano track starts playing, then took the Gloom Hands and... oh my goodness gracious, what have I done? Sage abilities or champion abilities? Which are better? Now, I think this is a heated topic, so let's get into it. For champion abilities, we got Mipha, Daruk, Urbosa, and yup. And for the sages, we got Tulin, Sidon, Yunobo, Rishu, and Minoru. Now, while I think the abilities of the sages are better than the champions, I do think that the downside comes with activating them. Because the sage avatars scuttle around with Xenoblade party member AI, it is very difficult to use an ability in the heat of the moment. If the abilities were context sensitive, it would be so much easier. Imagine drawing your bow and pressing A for lightning rather than running 1,000 miles to find Rishu. On the other hand, the champion abilities don't have much going for them when the sage abilities are practically dungeon items, so I think these new abilities are better. But what do you think? I scanned every amiibo into Tears of the Kingdom, and here's what happened. The amiibo feature in Tears of the Kingdom allows you to scan an amiibo to get some nifty gear and items, and you typically get a whole lot of good items that the amiibo you're scanning is from the Zelda series, but I only have a few Zelda amiibo, so what if I took all of my $20 figurines and popped them into this video game? I only now realize I've made some very poor financial decisions in the past. But there is one problem that I have. If I want to find out how much materials I get from scanning all these amiibo, there's absolutely no way I'm going to go through all my materials and count how much I get based off of the previous numbers. But C.com, that's actually quite easy to do. Nah, I'm lazy. So instead, I did a process that probably took more time to do than simple counting. I sold all my materials. Every single one. There was a better way to do this. I chose not to. 100 hours down the drain, just like that. But now I can begin the process of scanning every single amiibo. And this took surprisingly shorter than I expected. I managed to scan all of them in one go. But when looking at all the materials, I can say with confidence that this was not worth it. My stuff is gone. What enemy is in every Zelda game? At first, it may seem obvious that out of the 20 mainline Zelda games now, that there would be an enemy to be in every single one. So looking at the first Zelda game and aha, Keys, right? But that is until you look at Zelda 2 when you realize, oh boy, these lads are not Keys, but rather called Aches? For what purpose? Thankfully though, there are Octoroks, right? But they aren't in Twilight Princess. Surprisingly, I never noticed their absence, another thing for the Zelda-thon, I guess. But the only enemy to appear in every single Zelda game is kind of underwhelming. It is the Stalfos enemies, the funny bone lads. What is the best dungeon in Tears of the Kingdom? Although there are really 4 in the game. If we count the areas with bosses that give you heart containers, we would have 6, but Hyrule Castle doesn't count, it would be last anyways. At 5th, we got the Water Temple. Out of all the dungeons, this one feels the most like a divine beast with this completely open concept. Using the low gravity here made this area a whole lot of fun. Number 4, we have the Wind Temple. Dropping down onto the Stormwind Arc and its very air-based exploration offers a very unique experience from all other dungeons. Boss is also a jammer. Not that it matters, but it's cool. Number 3, we have the Construct Factory, or Spirit Temple, or Build a Construct Workshop or something. The main reason this is at the 3rd slot is because of just how wacky Ultra Hand can get. Look at this. How does one even code this? Number 2 and number 1 are both very close to each other, but I would have to give the slight edge to 1 because of the classic Zelda puzzles that make me nostalgic. Number 2, Fire Temple. Number 1, Lightning Temple. Wablam. I was wrong about the Pikmin series. There I was, chilling out, grabbing some missing ship parts, and entering into a new area. And man, I just know the Pikmin fans are having a heyday watching all the people play the game for the first time. So I land in this area and I remember that there was an egg that gives you 100 Pikmin, so I go to open it and, oh my goodness, what is this? I thought Pikmin was supposed to be a fun farming game. Now I have to deal with the tragedy of Pikmin warfare. I feel the weight of my actions. Oh my lord. It gave me 100 Pikmin, but at what cost? I made a mistake in Tears of the Kingdom. Yes, I know again. Go me. I need to talk to you all about the Frederick Building podcast, and this is the only way I know how. As an apology, the same subscribing, liking, and commenting rules will apply to this video as well, but there is an issue with everyone commenting on these shorts. I told everyone to comment questions for the Building podcast this Wednesday, but every time I go into the comments, I just see yahahas and nothing else. So I have to say I'm sorry, but now there's this handy-dandy Google form for you lads to actually ask me questions so I can actually read them on stream instead of being lost in a sea of comments. See you Wednesday. I was right about Demise in Tears of the Kingdom. Now you may be saying, oh, but C.com Demise isn't in Tears of the Kingdom. And you would be right, but you don't just throw around the term Demon King to everyone, so allow me to clarify things just a tad. Although Nintendo really did just throw the term Demon King out there. But when Demise's hatred from Skyward Sword incarnates in the form of Demise's curse, that does not mean that Demise himself comes back from the dead, because he is gone. Rather, the hatred just takes the form of an individual, which is usually Ganon, but it has been seen to take shape in other folks like Vati and maybe even Majora, but that's a video for another time. Subscribe if I should make that one, goodness me. What is the best fuse combo in Tears of the Kingdom? With so many different options to choose from, how could one possibly figure out what the objective best combo in the game is? In order to be the best, there needs to be a combo that is good for attacking, defending, as well as traversal and exploration around the world. At first I thought it would be bombs, but although they are very good for traversal and defending, attacking will just get you blown up as well. What about the Gleeok horns? Putting an ice one on your shield and a fire one on your sword makes a great dual wielding combo, but it lacks in traversal. Yes, I did kill a King Gleeok for this. Subscribe. Which means the greatest item to fuse anything to would have to be this item that allows you to bounce back from any fight you're in. It's the spring. You need to bounce, you got it. Enemies need to bounce, you got it. Enemies need a swimming lesson, you got it. What your favorite Pikmin type says about you. If you are a fan of the red Pikmin, then I have to say you are a fan of the hit film Pinocchio, and sometimes let the intrusive thoughts get to you a bit too much. If you are a fan of the blue Pikmin, it's safe to say that you are an avid swimmer, and you are also very disappointed in Nintendo's decision to have the blue Pikmin suffer in the game's box art. And if you are a fan of the yellow Pikmin, what else can I say? Big fan of trampolines, overall just good person to be around. You go crazy. And don't forget that your main goal is to blow up. What's the best final boss of the 3D Zelda games? After playing through Tears of the Kingdom, I can now update my list on the boss order. If you haven't seen my previous video on the ranking, there's no need because I changed some stuff around. So my objective ranking of the 3D Zelda bosses goes as follows. 7. Calamity Ganon. 6. Majora. 5. Demise. 4. Twilight Princess Ganondorf. 3. Ocarina of Time Ganondorf. And now that leaves only 2 final bosses, Tears of the Kingdom and Wind Waker Ganondorf. Both these fights are amazing with the music, gameplay, setting, and overall spectacle. But as a final boss, which one feels more conclusive? Tears of the Kingdom has the best gameplay, but this is practically your only interaction with Ganondorf other than the start of the game, when in Wind Waker you run into Ganondorf a bunch. This is too difficult. Screw it, I have Wind Waker bias. Number 2, Tears of the Kingdom. Number 1, Wind Waker Ganondorf. Build this with Ultra Hand to instantly destroy bosses in Tears of the Kingdom. This machine is quite insane, but you need very specific materials to get it. So first you are going to need 2 pieces of wood with a Korok frond. Next up is the most important part. You are going to need 2 Octorok eyes, which you can find directly west of the Great Sky Island in this river. Just keep saving and loading until you get to. Then you will need 1 piece of prime meat, which a bokoblin has right over the hill. Then take those materials and make Frederick. Then get a bunch of beam emitters and a few extra pieces and you're good. C.shop.com, Frederick merch, yahaha. I made a mistake in Tears of the Kingdom, or did I? Taking it back to the first video in this series, I told you lads for every X amount of likes, comments, and subscriptions I got on that video, I would make 1 treasure. Fast forward to me returning from my vacation, and I had to build at least 4,000 already. So I said I'll have a Q&A series of streams where you guys ask me questions, and the comments were just yahahas, so I put out a Google form for you folks to ask me questions instead. And in the Google form, out of the 2,500 submissions, at least 1,000 were yahahas. But little do you lads know I can sort out the yahahas with a click of a button. So the Q&A stream went great as I built 300 out of 6,128 Fredericks to build. Dear Lord, this is gonna take a while. Does the Zelda timeline even matter anymore? I'm sure I just echoed a bunch of you folks who are just tired of hearing about this timeline nonsense with Tears of the Kingdom, but the overarching timeline of the series doesn't even play a role in the game's story at all. In fact, the only times where the timeline contributes to the game's story is in Skyward Sword, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, and then Wind Waker and its sequels. Every single other game is mainly self-contained for the most part, so although it is fun to theorize about possible connections to past games in the series, I think that holding on to the fact that everything has to be connected to everything will just cause us to stop appreciating these games for the stories they tell. Anyways, that rant is over. Let me know what Zelda videos I should make next. Is Dragon Roost Island from Zelda the Wind Waker actually Death Mountain from Ocarina of Time? Now, for those of you who haven't played Wind Waker due to the game's HD remake not being on the Nintendo Switch yet, I still don't know why it's not. The game can run perfectly without a gamepad anyways, come on. But the premise of this game is that Hyrule was flooded and only the mountain peaks remain habitable. So when playing through the game on my Zeldathon series, I couldn't help but notice the similarities between the 2 locations. First off, mountain, check. Second off, very stylized circle/halo cloud of smoke at the peak, check. And finally, the specific item that can only be found near Death Mountain, at least in Ocarina of Time, bomb flowers. I think it is real neat that we visit old locations recontextualized like this, but that makes me wonder what other old locations are in Wind Waker. Raru's theme in Tears of the Kingdom hides such a cool hidden detail. And no, I won't be using the funny sound effect for every clip, sorry. Now, you may be saying that Raru's theme is practically 2 notes and that's it, and you would be right, but here's why these 2 notes are so cool. First, we need to understand that Raru in Tears of the Kingdom is the first king of Hyrule, so this lad practically laid out the entire series from a geographic standpoint. So let's take a listen to his theme. And now, does that sound familiar at all? If you have gotten the final memory when Raru says, "Remember this name," you probably do, because how to get an unbreakable weapon in Tears of the Kingdom. And no, I don't mean repairing an almost broken weapon or glitching in an unbreakable one. This is just in the game. And the best part about it is that you don't even need to have a free inventory space to use it. First off, there are multiple locations where you can find this item, but I usually find it right in Hateno Village. Meet Dale, the most powerful weapon in Hyrule. Just give this lad a few whacks with any weapon, which doesn't cost their ability, and now you have an invincible weapon that will never attack you, ever. But just in case, wearing some mystic armor doesn't hurt either. The damage output on this lad is not to be underestimated. Dale ain't frail. Ganon bows down before him. You can even take him into the skies if that Flux Construct has ever given you a hard time. Enox, Dale ain't frail. Don't Talus, Dale ain't frail. Anything else? Dale ain't frail. How to get max armor in Tears of the Kingdom. And I don't mean fully upgrading specific sets, but what pieces of armor will give you the highest amount of defense in the game. At first I thought it was the final shrine reward, which maxed out gives you 84 defense, but no. The answer is this combo right here. You have to swap the hood for the cap so you lose a bit of your fashion sense, but keep it dyed for color coordination and you have 88 defense. Most enemies only do a quarter heart damage to you now. This is great! The first item you want to get is the Champion's Tunic.
Actually, it's the Champion's...
It's in Hyrule Castle. If only someone made a video on how to get it and upgrade it, that would be crazy. The second item is the Soldier's Greaves, which can be found if you go spelunking down by Lookout Landing. And the final item is the Cap of the Wild, which you can find under one of the great skeletons in the depths. If only someone made a video on that. I despise this in Tears of the Kingdom, so here's how I fixed it. I spent so much time finding every single shrine scattered throughout the entire world of Hyrule and finally upgraded every aspect of Link. And why do I only have 38 hearts? Why is that game? Just wondering. I'm not mad that it's only 38 hearts instead of 40. I'm mad because this is uneven. Look at this! You can just move one heart down and everything is perfectly fine. So how do I solve this? Well, there are quests in this game where you can get heart containers, and by quests I mean this one on the Great Plateau. So why don't we add some more? Now, we've seen heart containers pop up from people before, so I would say that finishing the Hateno Village and Lurlin quest line should give you those 2 missing hearts. Or they're saving them for DLC. Yeah. You just beat Tears of the Kingdom, so what do you do now? After being sent back to Hyrule like nothing ever happened, you might not want to end your adventure there, so here are 3 things you can do. If you haven't already found all of the shrines, I highly recommend doing so, as they are all fantastic and the blessing ones are such a vibe. Now, I'm not going to say go play other Zelda games like some other individual video. Who would ever do that? Of course you're going to want to play Tears of the Kingdom. He's talking about me. The first thing you can do is find all of the light roots in the depths, as well as fighting all of the dungeon bosses down there to relive those precious memories. The second thing to do is to do all of the side adventures, not to be confused with side quests. These adventures are the best form of side content in the game. And last but not least, build Frederick. Yeah! What happened to the Sheikah Slate in Tears of the Kingdom? For being such a prominent item in Breath of the Wild, I'm surprised that it is nowhere to be seen in Tears of the Kingdom. I can deal without having the old abilities, but what about stasis? Me and my homies love stasis. But I think the most probable theory is that after the events of Breath of the Wild, the Sheikah Slate was taken apart to gain a larger understanding of the thing and build a bunch of new contraptions like the Skyview Towers. But the obvious fact is that Robbie and Purah probably saw it and just wanted to use it, and you know how that ends. Here's why you hate Calamity Ganon yet love the Demon King Ganondorf fight in Tears of the Kingdom. When fighting the final boss of Tears of the Kingdom, I bet a lot of you who played Breath of the Wild were saying, "Oh man, this is so much better than Calamity Ganon." And I'm here to explain just why that is. The main issue with Calamity Ganon is that the fight felt anticlimactic if you did all of the Divine Beast quests, because then half of Calamity Ganon's health is gone without you having to do anything. In Tears of the Kingdom, things are quite different. Instead of getting rid of Ganondorf's health, all the main quest shenanigans you do only prevent Link from fighting the horde of monsters in the second phase of Ganondorf alone. With Demon King Ganondorf, the fight is mainly a 1v1 bro, Fox-only Final Destination type beat. The important part is that for the cinematic final fights of each game, being Dark Beast Ganon and the Demon Dragon respectively, you can also see improvement in these as well. With Dark Beast Ganon, it was just a waiting simulator for a moment before playing a point-and-click adventure game. But with Tears of the Kingdom, there is no waiting to behead as you are the one progressing the fight further. Anyways, I did a kickflip on the final boss. Subscribe. Yeah! Tears of the Kingdom did the impossible with the depths. We're just being a glorified DLC like some people say it is, which is just the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I think the jaws of everyone hit the floor as we all heard a wow for the first time. The depths are by far the largest addition to Tears of the Kingdom, and the way they are implemented into the core gameplay loop is something that I'm 100% certain will be copied in future open world games. Just wait a few years and every open world game will have something similar, trust me. Zelda games have had a ton of alternate dimensions that mirrored Hyrule in one way or another, but the depths cranks this concept up to an 11. You could say that Tears of the Kingdom revolutionized the Dark World concept by intertwining the player's progression between the surface and depths. And I think where this really shines is with the light roots. With the surface shrines being where the light roots are, I never felt the need to look at a guide to track down all of the surface shrines or light roots, and that is real neat. But what is your favorite part about the depths? Let's push the limits of Tears of the Kingdom. Being a game released on the Nintendo Switch family of systems, which is now a 6-year-old console at this point, the game runs quite smoothly. Keyword quite. So how can I cause this game to become a PowerPoint presentation? The first thing that popped into my mind was Zonai devices. When you have a bunch of these parts jumbled together, they seem to cause quite the event. A ton of fans got it chugging, but not nearly enough. Maybe I'll add some fire into the mix, and it seems to have varying results. In order to truly break this game's limits, I would probably have to play for an extremely long amount of time to fill up the game's memory. That might take me all summer. Wait, I think I just figured it out. Frederick! If this channel can get to 100,000 subscribers before the end of summer, which is frighteningly possible, I will build the remaining 6,000 something Fredericks all in one stream. I'm sure me and my Nintendo Switch will not regret this at all. Here's why the Light Dragon wasn't in Breath of the Wild. Gonna have to bring out the whiteboard for this one. Now there is the obvious the devs didn't make it yet reason, but here's the time travel reason. To understand why the Light Dragon isn't in Breath of the Wild, we need to understand how time travel in this game works. Zelda was always in the past and Ganondorf was always sealed, but what differs is the point of observation. From the player's perspective, once Zelda falls back in time, Link goes unconscious and wakes up an indeterminate amount of time later. So the dragon seems to just appear at the same moment Zelda goes into the past and rewrites history, or should I say keeps it in check. So this is what the player sees as Link, and this is what Zelda sees. The Light Dragon is in Breath of the Wild, but we only view things from Link's perspective. So we don't see the Light Dragon's perspective of these events. So the dragon isn't there, but also is at the same time. What the heck, time travel? For example, I'm going to time travel to the start of this video and prevent it from ever happening. Watch this. Here's why the Light Dragon wasn't in Breath of the Wild. It was just above the clouds and that thing. Have you noticed how similar Tears of the Kingdom and Skyward Sword's ending sequences are? I noticed this when the term Demon King was thrown around in the game, and now I realize that Hidemaru Fujibayashi was the director of both games. Wild! Shout out to that lad for directing such a gamer game, you know what I mean? So it starts off with a descent downwards and a battle with a ton of enemies. I gotta say that Tears of the Kingdom Horde battle music is jamming. Then it is on to the first phase of the Demon King fight, which this can be related to Girahim's final fight and the first phase of the Haha Giga Chad Funny Man. Now we enter phase 2 and oh, would you look at that? We got fiery flowing long hair, lads with the title Demon King, and a 1v1 sword fight. Even the gameplay being so parry-focused is a similarity as well. That has to be intentional, right? After all, this is the first game in the series after Skyward Sword's release to have Ganondorf in it, so it makes sense to take some cues from Demise. Now, isn't that wacky? I fooled you all in Tears of the Kingdom. Just yesterday, I made a video talking about where the Light Dragon could be in Breath of the Wild, and I ended up discovering time travel and saying that the dragon was above the cloud barrier the dragons of Breath of the Wild go into. That is the most normal C.com sentence I've ever said, dear lord. Now, I think I made my time traveling transition cleaner than it needed to be because a lot of you folks in the comments, 1, thought the video looped there, and 2, didn't watch the ending bit of the video because of number 1. I take it as a compliment to my editing skills, goodness me, but who boy, this was quite the funny experience. This also means that there were 2 Master Swords in the world when Breath of the Wild was happening. Makes you think whether this happens in other Zelda games or not. Speaking of, 100k subscribers by the end of the summer, and I'll play through every Zelda game on stream. Yes, you too, Link's crossbow training. You too. Here are my top 3 Master Sword pulls in the entire Zelda series. If you disagree, that is okay, but you are also just wrong. At number 3, and this is a pretty specific one, we have the end of the Trial of the Sword Master Sword pull from Breath of the Wild. Wild. Although Tears of the Kingdom's pull is great, nothing is quite as satisfying as pulling this after you fight your way through countless floors of enemies. Bonus points if you were on Master Mode like me, and I was almost going to put Age of Calamity's Master Sword pull here just because how cool it was alone. But anyways, at number 2, here comes my bias because it is Wind Waker. The main reason why this is at number 2 is due to the action of pulling the Master Sword, allowing time to move again in Hyrule under the ocean. It is also great for story reasons, but man, seeing everything come back to life was awesome. Also, it is probably Wind Waker bias, but I do not care, not one bit. And finally, at number 1, we have Tears of the Kingdom. Come on, you knew it, but you watched anyway. Subscribe and I'll get a real Master Sword. Yahaha. What is the best enemy in Tears of the Kingdom? I know for a fact that it is not Keys, so which enemy takes the top spot? I got a list of 5, so here we go. Mini bosses and bosses excluded, of course. Number 5 would have to be the Choo-Choos. You get free elemental arrows from these lands, and look at them, they're so cute. Taking spot number 4, we have the Moblin for the sole purpose that you can scuttle around their heels and completely dodge all of their attacks. Number 3 has to go to the Boss Moblin. These beefy lads cause you to actually strategize instead of just blowing things up. Oh, never mind. Number 2 would be the Gyptos, because oh boy, the fuse materials these lads drop are fantastic. It saddens me on how I thought they were rededs in the trailers though, and I made a video on that. And the number 1 spot has to go to the one, the only, Dark Frederick. Run. Can you dual wield Master Swords in Tears of the Kingdom? Well, I don't mean glitching in the message not found Master Sword from the start of the game, but rather this is what I am thinking for DLC. Picture this. After the conclusion of the game, Zelda is chatting to Link and says, "Oh Link, I'd love to show you the era of Hyrule's founding." And the both of them time travel to the past again. You get to talk to some characters that didn't get a lot of spotlight in the main game, like the original sages. And of course you can't forget about the 2 goats, both figurative, one literal. And of course you meet the 4 sage Frederick as well. And then something bad happens as per DLC story, and there are so many monsters from the imprisoning war. If only there was a better way to deal with this. So you head to the Lost Woods, pull a second Master Sword, and start going crazy on Ganondorf's army. Then you swiftly leave before you alter the future's events. Blammo! There is a great detail with the hearts in Tears of the Kingdom. While playing through the start of the game, you have full hearts and max stamina, which is 2 extra upgrades from Breath of the Wild, showing how Link has gained some more strength and experience during the years of peace in between the 2 games. I sure do hope that peace will last for quite a while. Oh dear! Hearts are always seen as a source of growth for the character, just like in every Zelda game. Speaking of, 100,000 subscribers before the end of the summer, and I play every Zelda game on stream. So when you start Tears of the Kingdom, Link has the usual 3, but can get up to a max of 40, which shows that Link is now a big, strong lad with more experience and strength from all of the shrines and dungeons, and is ready to take down Dark Frederick. Except you can't. Here's why you hate the rain in Tears of the Kingdom. While not being able to climb very well in the rain absolutely sucks, there are even more disadvantages to the weather condition that you may not know about. First off, the visibility sucks. I can't see a single thing, dear lord. There's already the climbing hazards that I mentioned at the start, but I think it deserves another statement because goodness me, I know I can build a hover bike, but at that point, do you want to waste time building or waste time climbing? Actually, why play the game at all? Pikmin 4. Of course, your fire-fused arrows will turn to regular arrows, but bomb flowers still work, thankfully. And the worst offender of all is that when paragliding, you fall 5% faster than regular weather paragliding. I'm not making this up. If only someone made a video on that. It was me. I did it. Yeah. But the rain also gives you some advantages. You can sneak up on enemies easier. Electric attacks are supercharged in the rain. And if you have any Zoro weapons, they will do double damage when wet. Except no one uses Zoro weapons. But the fast falling paragliding makes me so upset. I found out this info, so now you have to as well. Who are the last 2 Mario Kart characters for the last wave? Now with only the 6th and final wave of tracks remaining, I think that something special is inbound. Wave 5 had 3 characters and 8 tracks, but I don't think that the last wave will have less content than the previous one, so I think it will take some new items from Mario Kart Tour to fill out those empty slots. Or certain characters could have higher chances of getting certain items. But these characters I'm going to suggest have to be in Mario Kart Tour as well, because that has been pretty consistent so far. But I have 4 total picks for what these lads can be. Either Funky Kong, King Bob-omb, Nabbit, or my main man Poochie the goat, the dog, the goat? Moonview Highway! How does Tears of the Kingdom load the entire world at once? For being a game on a 6-year-old Nintendo Switch console, just how does it load every part of the world at the same time? Well, here's how. Spoiler alert, it doesn't load the game all at once. To fully explain this, I'll need to talk a bit about level of detail, which is a system used in many games to save graphics power. Take a look at Mario here from Mario 64. You'll see that as Mario moves away from the camera that he becomes a bit more blocky than usual. Since the camera is farther away, there doesn't need to be too much detail detailed for Mario to be seen properly. In Tears of the Kingdom, we can see this with trees especially. Imagine around Link is an invisible circle. And imagine you subscribing for more videos like this, 100k subs on my face reveal. And around each of these circles are different levels of detail. As I walk away from this tree, you see it go from being in full detail to being a bit less detailed. And if you really go back a bunch, you see it turn into a 2D image that looks at the camera. So only a portion of Hyrule, as well as all of its non-playable characters, enemies, and collectibles are loaded in. And as Link moves around, they either unload or load into the world. Yahaha! Can you beat The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom by only using a shield? And I don't mean fusing a shield to the Master Sword and whacking away at enemies. Uh-oh. The rules are simple. Any damage you do to an enemy has to be with a shield. You can pick up any weapon or bow to use it to activate certain abilities, but all damage that Link does to enemies has to be with a shield. Using weapons to a shield works. A shield to a weapon does not. As long as Link only attacks with the parry motion of the shield, which is basically the strongest backhand Hyrule has ever seen, you're good. So I start up a new save file and... oh... these don't count. Moving on. What is The Legend of Zelda? Actually though, I'm not talking about the game series as a whole, but what is known as the specific Legend of Zelda? What story could have turned into legend from all the mainline games? I think a pretty good guess would be the events of Skyward Sword being called The Legend, due to it being the first Zelda game in the series' story, but wouldn't that also make the Curse of Demise The Legend of Zelda as well? Another idea that I have is that The Legend of Zelda plays a part in the Hyrule royal family, naming every single daughter of the King Zelda. But that still means we have no idea of what the legend is still, only the impact of it. What about the opening of Wind Waker? It clearly shows the events of Ocarina of Time and what happened after adult Link traveled back in time to actually live out his childhood, and nobody will remember that he saved Hyrule, but it's fine, he's chillin'. But that still leaves us with nothing on what specific event actually caused The Legend of Zelda to be called The Legend of Zelda. I mean, do the games just turn into the legend? I'm the legend. That would be quite wacky. Here's the terrifying truth behind Majora's Mask. We all know Majora's Mask, I hope. If you haven't played it, you have two options. One, play it right now, it is on the Switch. Or two, watch me play it when I play every Zelda game at 100k subs. Speaking of every Zelda game, this has to deal with Demise's curse from Skyward Sword, which is just the Demon King here being so mad that him being mad creates a new villain for Link to fight each game. I thought that Majora was an exception to this rule because during the events of Majora's Mask, Ganondorf is still very much alive. The Curse of Demise isn't meant to take over Hyrule, it's meant to destroy everything, but most importantly, Link and Zelda first, priorities. So once Majora's Mask takes over Skull Kid, what is the first thing the mask does? Jumps Link, grabs the Ocarina of Time, and lures him into Termina to crush the moon onto him. Pretty wacky how wherever Link goes, evil follows, or maybe it's the other way around. Are you bored in Tears of the Kingdom? Have you put an ungodly amount of time into this video game, now you don't know what to do with yourself? Well, allow me to give some suggestions on what to do. A ton of these things are collectibles, so guess what? You're going to the depths. You can find all of the amiibo armor and get the Tunic of Memories while refighting all of the dungeon bosses. If only someone made a video on that. Go upgrade your battery to the max, get some cave armor, fight all the Froxes. If only someone made a video on that. And above ground, you can go fight all of the Gleeoks, get the Glide and Zonite armor sets, put the Hylian down, enhance your horse, dye Link's hair, become a Korok, make a Korok. Yahaha. But if only someone made a video on that! What's the biggest mystery in Tears of the Kingdom? It isn't Ganondorf's seal or the Zonai. Speaking of, how come we still know practically nothing about these lads, although we literally see them in the game? But the biggest mystery has to be a question that a lot of you lads have been asking in the comments, and that is, just who exactly is Frederick? Let me explain. It all started on one lone stream in June where I had the bright idea to bring a Korok to the final boss. So I picked up this lad, which the chat named Kevin, and was swiftly on my way until, well, Kevin seemed to be allergic to the devils. And I was unaware of this going into the stream, so now scrambling at what to do, I try one more time before getting a fantastic idea. What if I take a bit of materials, stick them together, and call them a Korok? And that is how Frederick was born. And Frederick did a kickflip on the final boss. They're too powerful. Now the Frederick profile picture army, a Yahaha army if you will, just comments Yahaha on everything, so that's cool. Yahaha. There's a great Zelda Easter egg in Pikmin 4. And no, I do not mean an actual egg that is saved for more terrifying encounters, but you may be saying, C.com, I thought you were a Zelda channel. No, play Pikmin 4. Game of the year. I'm not joking. But in Pikmin 4, you go around this totally not Earth alien planet and find various treasures that get converted into energy. After playing through all Pikmin games for the Pick Marathon, by the way, at 100k subs I bring back the Zeldathon, you notice some treasures looking a tad bit similar to some other gaming-related items. So in Pikmin 4, the treasures are back, and now they're there are a bunch of music-themed items. There are 3 music boxes too. One plays the Pikmin 3 menu music, another plays the Piranha Plant Lullaby from Mario 64, which is very relaxing, and the final one is a classic tune. I sure hope it doesn't rain. Have you noticed how similar Tears of the Kingdom is to the Wind Waker? Now this may be my Wind Waker bias. Subscribe if you want to see me play Wind Waker, except I'll play Wind Waker anyways, that's cool. But look at this! Once the player gets the Master Sword, which I suppose would be Breath of the Wild, they go to fight Ganondorf, only to realize that, uh-oh, the Master Sword isn't all that. Then there is a big quest to power up the Master Sword, as well as find the new sages to help Link out. Now, not only is the Wind Waker probably the most similar to Tears of the Kingdom gameplay-wise out of the traditional Zelda games, as if any Zelda games actually follow that rule, don't get me started on that discussion, but you could say that one game is open air and the other is open ocean. Also, the 2 games end with the same attack. That sure is wacky. What's next for the Zelda series after Tears of the Kingdom? The series will have quite a hard time, I feel, when making the next major Zelda game, as Tears of the Kingdom is quite a tough act to follow, although I have full confidence in the development team to do such an impossible task. I still don't know if Tears of the Kingdom will have DLC or not, but if it does, I wonder what could be in said DLC, if only someone made a video on that. I can almost guarantee that the next game will be on the next Nintendo console and not the Switch, as long as the development of the next game takes just as long as Tears of the Kingdom. But for what that game could be, I have 2 main ideas. The first one would be to ditch the fantasy setting entirely and go for a futuristic cyberpunk-esque Zelda game. And the second one would be to bring Wind Waker to Switch, please Nintendo, yeah. How does Ascend work in Tears of the Kingdom? You know Ascend, the ability everyone forgot to use for the first 3 hours of the game. Well, have you ever wondered how this ability actually works? Because it is pretty wacky. In total, the Ascend ability has 3 main phases. The first is the activation, where in order to move to phase 2, some specific conditions have to be met. The first condition is that the object above Link isn't too far, shown by whether the center dot appears or not. The second condition is to check if the ceiling is flat enough for Link to jump through, shown by the color of the grid. And then the final condition is to see how far of a distance Link has to ascend through. And if it is too large, you won't be able to, except for specific spots in the depths where it doesn't count. If all of these conditions are met, the second phase ensues, where Link goes straight up, and if the camera will be blocked by something, we see this cool background image instead. And the third phase has Link survey his surroundings before popping out or saying nope and going back down. What could the next Zelda game be? I don't mean the next mainline title or anything like that, just what game are we going to see next? The Oracle games just released on Nintendo Switch Online. Speaking of 100k subs and I play every Zelda game on stream, we are extremely close, holy moly. Now, between the releases of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, we got a nice little Link's Awakening remake, which is just so great. He does not want to make toys, he wants to be a dentist. So if Nintendo goes the remake route, here's what I think. And no, it isn't Wind Waker, I'm not that biased. But imagine this, for the release day of the next Nintendo console, in the Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom game engine, a Final Fantasy VII style remake, which means a huge overhaul of gameplay and such, although keep the dungeons intact, those were great, of Ocarina of Time. That sounds pretty cool, huh? How does Recall work in Tears of the Kingdom? I remember first seeing Recall being used in a trailer and going, wow, that's cool. But looking into it more in the full game, just how does this even work? What is this dark programming magic? So I'll try my best to explain it. It is important to note that I do not know if this is actually how it's programmed, but it's the best explanation I can think of. The answer lies in keyframes, which is surprisingly ironic because I over-edit all of my videos. Now, why would you say that? Imagine that after a set amount of time has passed, each object that can be recalled takes a note of its position and rotation, and due to my video editing brain, we'll call it keyframes as well. So here's the timeline of all the keyframes of a certain object, also the timeline where I get 100k subs and face reveal. So when Link goes to rewind an object, the keyframes just... wild. How does Tears of the Kingdom do this with Fuse? I can understand how the additional damage works, but the actual visuals of Fuse I do not understand in the slightest. So now I'll try to explain them to the best of my ability. So fusing specifically to weapons, there are 3 possible types of weapons to choose from. The one-handed and two-handed weapons, as well as the spear-like weapons. Now imagine on each material there is an invisible dot that tracks the position of the object. Think of it as a magnet for now. And on each of the weapon types there are 2 invisible dot magnet things. One where the blade starts, or the hilt, and another by the tip of the blade. Now there are 2 types of fuse materials for the most part. There are ones classified as blades and others as hammers. And depending on what type it is, the magnet will snap to a different part of the weapon. A hammer snaps to the tip of the weapon and a blade will snap to the hilt of the weapon, removing the blade in the process. I think. Wild. Welcome to Can You Parry That in Tears of the Kingdom, where we see what attacks Link can parry in Tears of the Kingdom because I have an addiction to playing the game with only a shield. If only someone made a video on that. The rules are simple. If you see the blue sparks, that's a parry. Let's go. Choo-choo charge attack. Not on the the electric lads, that's for sure. Gibdo's stanky breath attack. Oh, that's hilarious. Timing is a bit odd though. Fire Gleeok giant fireball of death and destruction. It's so difficult that I've only done it once, but it is 100% possible. Try it on flat terrain, that works better. Yiga foot soldier drop attack. Either I'm bad or you can't. I'm leaning more towards the second option. Also subscribe and comment what attacks I should do next. 100k subscribers by the end of the summer and I play every Zelda game on stream. Yiga Blade Master Earthquake technique. Unless you have shields for feet, it's impossible. Solid air? Surprisingly, yes. Shoutouts to air. A horse kick from behind? This has become my new favorite activity. Or how about a Kuko? Dale is just way too powerful, sadly. What happened to the Shrine of Resurrection in Tears of the Kingdom? Now, the sequel to Breath of the Wild changed up Hyrule a ton due to the time skip from the 2 games, so I was wondering what happened to the Divine Beasts and Sheikah Slay and such, if only someone made a video on that. But if you head back to the Great Plateau, you can see that the shrine got quite a facelift. Speaking of face reveal at 100k subs, that's gonna do numbers. But if you look closely, you can see subtle markings left from the shrine, which makes me think that the shrine was excavated a while back. With the help of the Gorons, large excavations would be a breeze. That's probably what happened to the shrines as well, but it seems that the boxes and barrels are still in this shrine from Breath of the Wild, so maybe this was a recent clearing. Although my question is, why would you get rid of the most advanced medical facility you have? It's quite the way it probably stopped working. Welcome back to Can You Parry That in Tears of the Kingdom, where we see what attacks Link can parry in Tears of the Kingdom because I have an addiction to playing the game with only a shield. If only someone made a video on that. Be sure to watch part 1 because now we move on to Frost Gleeok Icicle Rain. The only thing Link gets here is a concussion. Ever means. Would you look at that? Gloom Hand Grab. It doesn't do damage, so parry is a no. Gleeok Laser Beam, a good tactic until you realize that it's a beam attack. Be sure to subscribe and let me know what I should try next in the comments. Non-playable character attacks. If you whack them enough, it's funny. Mukta Rock's beam attack. Haha, Splatoon moment. A Stone Talus punch. The first hit, but not the second. That rocks though. And an arrow. Yup. How long would it take you to walk across Hyrule? Not Link. I'm talking about you. First order of business is to find a good measuring tool for the map, and thankfully the game gives us some nifty coordinates to help me with my studies. About every 2 steps that Link takes, the coordinates change by 1, and Link is a short king, so I would say that 1 unit on the map is 1 meter. So now it is time to go to the bottom left and top right areas of the map to map the coordinates. Now taking these 2 numbers, I can find the length and width of the world, and by doing some simple high school math, I find that a straight diagonal line across Hyrule is 12,736 meters. Now what is the average walking speed? I wouldn't know since I don't leave my desk or go outside. If only someone made a video on that. The average walking speed is about 5 kilometers an hour, so it would take you roughly 2 hours and 32 minutes to walk across Hyrule. Wild. I am nearing my limit in Tears of the Kingdom. At first glance, I bet you thought this video would be about the limit of Ultra Hand attached objects, and although that is also true, it isn't the point of this video. If you have been watching a bunch of my previous videos, which you should, you'll notice that I have a lot of things prepared for when I hit 100,000 subscribers. And since you guys have been subscribing like crazy recently, here's what's going on at 100k. First off, face reveal. Crazy, I know. Second off, I have to build the remaining Fredericks all in one stream, so that is wacky. Third, dog reveal. Shoutouts to Doggo. Fourth, bring back the Zelda-thon where I play through every Zelda game on stream. Fifth, the Wear an Among Us costume. Alright then. And unless I'm forgetting something, that's it. Subscribe, we're so close. I turned the easiest boss into the hardest boss in Tears of the Kingdom. Now you may be asking yourself, oh, C.com, what exactly is the easiest boss in the game? And while Lionels are probably the easiest for me in my addiction to parrying, can you parry that? The answer is yes. Subscribe and let me know what else I should parry. I'd say the easiest boss will have to be everyone's favorite Mulgara Molduga Icy Flying Lad Kulgara. Although I would say that Marble Goma comes close to the spot, but there can only be so many references in one fight. Play Wind Waker. So first off, I don't think I will use any weapons, just pure force. But the real difficulty comes in with this major change. It actually has nothing to do with the fight in the game, but rather in real life. Don't play the game with a controller, play it with a steering wheel. I'm streaming this surprisingly not that bad, but also very bad at the same time. I just did the impossible in Tears of the Kingdom. Now I'm currently playing through the game with a steering wheel, but I wouldn't call that impossible. This has to do with the video I put out yesterday, which you all watched, right? The video talked about what I would do if I hit 100,000 subscribers, and that included building about 5,000 Fredericks on stream in one go. And thank you all so much, the channel is practically right there. But just watching me do that over and over would be a bit boring, so let's turn this into a competition. I have a Minecraft server, so while I'm building Fredericks in Tears of the Kingdom, you lads will in Minecraft. Let's see who makes more. The world border is constantly expanding, and I even set up a specific area for you guys. For every 1 Frederick you fellas make, I'll count it as 5. So go make 1,000 of these lads before I finish building all of mine. I'll give you a head start. The server's open right now for Java and Bedrock editions. Here's the server address. It's the latest Minecraft version. Go crazy. Yeah! Welcome to episode 3 of Can You Parry That in Tears of the Kingdom, where you tell me what to parry in Tears of the Kingdom and you never guess what I do with that information. With that said, if there are blue sparks, that's a parry. Let's go. The exploding rocks from Rock Octoroks. Dear Lord, what a tongue twister that was. A bokoblin being thrown at you. Yes, quite funny, haha. An arrow Kuda. It even beats them up too. A falling rock from the sky. I got this once and never again. Maybe I really am a god gamer. Be sure to subscribe and comment what I should parry next. Thank you all so much for 100,000 subscribers. Face reveal soon. Anyways, you know what when you fight him. I am the indestructible bowling pin. Lionel Fireballs. Fun fact, every Lionel melee attack can be parried. Parry a cannon. This is quite the fun rhythm game. And anxiety inducer. Frederick's lasers. They are just too powerful. My shield is gone. Frederick truly is supreme. How is Tears of the Kingdom so much better than Breath of the Wild? Let's see Breath of the Wild is way better. I'll get to that later. Hold on. But I think that Tears of the Kingdom does 3 things better than Breath of the Wild specifically, so let's talk about those. 1. Weapon durability. Now, the weapon durability was a big complaint in Breath of the Wild, and for good reason, but now because of Fuse, weapons now last way longer than usual, but there's also a whole lot more enemies to fight, so that is wacky. 2. Abilities. I think I can safely say that everyone can agree that the Tears of the Kingdom abilities are way better than the Breath of the Wild ones, and this is because of 2 main factors. The abilities are based around the traversal of the world, and the abilities can be used in combination in more situations. 3. Everything has a purpose. Even every material you pick up can be used in some way, thanks to Fuse and Ultra, and you can now have everything be quite literally built different. But for those saying that Breath of the Wild is better, I think this can be related to the Mario Galaxy 1 versus 2 debate. I think it is clear that the gameplay of Galaxy 2 is much better, but the atmosphere of Galaxy 1 is unmatched. Yeah! You finally did it! You lads got this channel to 100,000 subscribers, so that means I have some reveals to do as well as talk about what's coming up for this channel. First off, here's my dog. His name is Link. Everyone say hi, Link, in the comments. Secondly, the Among Us costume as well as the Frederick building stream will be later this week. I'm thinking this Saturday, but keep an eye out on my community page as well as my live streaming page, which is YouTube, not Twitch. I've seen a lot of people follow my Twitch recently. I am not there. I'm here. Third order of business is the Zeldathon, where I play through every single Zelda game on stream here on this channel, and that will take place after the Tears of the Kingdom steering wheel challenge as well as the Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 without power-ups challenge run, but there will be breaks in the Zeldathon for games such as Super Mario Wonder and such. And finally, I hate to say it, but this isn't my actual face. I'm sorry, I've been lying to you guys the entire time, so don't be mad or anything. You fellas subscribe for this. Here I go. What is the craziest attack you can parry in Tears of the Kingdom? Welcome back to Can You Parry That episode 4. Without further ado, be sure to subscribe and let me know what I should parry next. Just be sure I haven't done it already. Today we'll be focused on mini bosses. Here we go. Hinox Slam. No, sadly. A Hinox Head Slam. Yet again, no. As well as the Tree Throw. But if you time your parry correctly, you will take no damage, so that's cool, I guess. Flux Construct Smash. No. But when the Flux hits the whip, you can cancel out damage with a parry. The Cube Smash can cancel out damage. This is the same for the roll. Now for the flying blocks. It seems that the same rules still apply. But what about Molduga? The charge attack? Nope. The spin attack? Also nope. Big day for parry haters. What is the rarest way to die in Tears of the Kingdom? Now I'm sure we have all died a bunch in Tears of the Kingdom, whether that be to fall damage, enemy damage, the hubris of our own actions. But what is the craziest way Link can go bye-bye? Now you may be saying that the keys at the start of the game are the rarest way to die, but nope, that is incorrect. I used to think dying by water damage was rare, and then I decided that it should be one of the small rocks thrown at you, but that got me thinking about those rocks. They can activate certain Zonai devices, and let me tell you, this reminds me of Minecraft death messages. But I think I can safely say that no one has ever been running from an enemy to have a rock thrown, hit a time bomb, and blow themselves up. What's the weirdest thing in Tears of the Kingdom? Tears of the Kingdom is a pretty weird game, from the characters with absolutely insane strength to the weird story structure of Demon King's Secret Soul. But what is the weirdest thing? I first thought it was Hestu, because how do Koroks become that big of a lad? Goodness me. I think it is pretty weird how we still know practically nothing about the Zonai, even though they are in the game's story quite a bit. You know what else? The haha Giga Chad funny man's face here. It may be funny, but if this game's art style was realistic, that would be horrifying. But the weirdest thing about the sequel to Breath of the Wild would have to be that there are no frame drops in Korok Forest. It just doesn't feel right being this smooth. What's the worst armor in Tears of the Kingdom. That doesn't mean having no armor at all. There has to be at least some defensive value to the set. To make things fair, every armor piece has to be upgraded to the max. At first, I thought it would be the Hylian set, but fully upgraded, it still gives 60, which is crazy. Speaking of crazy, the C.com 100,000 subscriber extravaganza stream will be tomorrow, where I wear the Among Us costume, build all the Fredericks, Smash Brothers, Mario Kart, and such. I thought the Mystic armor would be good because it can't be upgraded, but I'm still super rich, so it doesn't work. So what 3-piece set can't be upgraded? That's easy. The archaic tunic with the pants as well. And for the headpiece, it would have to be something worthless, like the Korok mask, because you've gotten all the Koroks, right? It's time for Can You Parry That Episode 5. The rules are simple. Blue sparks means it's a parry. Subscribe and let me know what to parry next, and I'm going insane. A rocket arrow, you'll need lightning fast reaction time. Speaking of, yeah, no, that ain't happening. Marble goalless rock ball things. The main goal is to blow up Queen Gibdo's sand beam. A time bomb. It doesn't do damage to you, so you are chilling with no parry. A frog's belly flop. No, but there is still that no damage rule. Or even the projectiles Ganon shoots at you, which you can. You won't believe me, but I called it in Tears of the Kingdom. Now you may be asking, what exactly did I call? Well, for that I say we take back the clock all the way to before Tears of the Kingdom's release. To this video where I speculated on what the final ability would be in Tears of the Kingdom, because it obviously wasn't the camera, but take a listen to what I said here. It could be the camera, but nah, I think it's mind control. What basis do I have for this claim? None. Or I bet that underground there'll be a guardian that the Hyrule cleaning crew didn't catch, and Link just uses it like an RC car and destroy everything in sight. Two things to note. First, my editing has become even more crazy. You'll love to see it. And secondly, did I just call this? I think I did. Is the Switch 2 coming sooner than we think? And just what exactly is it? The good old Nintendo Switch, you gotta love it, but the console is over 6 years old at this point, and rumors have been going around about a potential Nintendo Switch 2 or something of the sort. So what will this new console offer that is so different from the regular Switch? I don't see a console in the future that I can't take on the go, so the Switch has to stay in some capacity. I can see a new console launching with a brand new 3D Mario game that would sell like crazy, but I think the new Switch will lean heavily into retro games, even more than the current Nintendo Switch Online service. And what better way to do that than to release a remake of a Zelda game? I know Grezzo has been cooking up something since Miitopia. What's going on there, huh? What's going on there? Subscribe if you want me to stream Miitopia. But the new 3D Mario has to be Galaxy 3. Source, dude, trust me. Do you miss Rivali's Gale in Tears of the Kingdom? Ha! I don't. But here's how to replicate it. No need for Zonai devices or anything like that. There are a few ways to accomplish this, like with a pine cone and a fire, but you need to look at the best item in the game, the spicy pepper. Speaking of spicy topics, just what exactly is my profile picture? Anyways, just take a spicy lad and drop it on the ground as well as a few others, then light it on fire, but not too close now. And you keep going and going and going and... Do you miss Daruk's protection in Tears of the Kingdom? Because here's how to replicate it. Now I know you might be thinking about using Sidon's ability to accomplish this task, but the bubble doesn't give you a guaranteed parry, so that's parry. Parry? Can you parry that episode 6? Blue sparks mean parry. An exploding barrel? Blam! A spike ball, which is not the Kirby spike ball, if you know, you know. An animal running towards you. Funny lad. Bees! Not the bees! A crucible knight. Would you look at that? Lionel explosion attack. Yup. Before I do the last one, you lads have commented suggestions that I have already done in previous videos, so be sure to watch those as well. Literal air. What did you expect? What's up with this 2D Zelda rumor that's been going around? Oh boy, I sure do love the rumor mill from The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, the Champions Ballad DLC. So what could this 2D Zelda game be? As much as I would like it to be a completely new game, just like Super Mario Wonder, I think that the next Nintendo console will focus heavily on retro games, if only someone made a video on that. So I got 3 options for a potential remake. Either the Minish Cap, A Link to the Past, or the original Legend of Zelda. But we all know it's gonna be Zelda 2, let's be honest. I turned Tears of the Kingdom into the hardest game ever. Even more than Elden Ring. Crazy, I know. I need to get mileage out of this one clip. Now, I'm sure you must be thinking that Tears of the Kingdom is a pretty difficult game already. Why make it more challenging for yourself? I'm a gamer. I must. So Link can now create vehicles with Ultra Hand and drive them around Hyrule as he sees fit. The reason that it's so great is because it allows Link to get in the driver's seat and decide how to traverse the world as he gets behind the wheel. So, to make this game the hardest game ever, let's just get behind the wheel. That's it. I'll be streaming the finale tonight. This has been a struggle. I'm gifting membership for every game over, steering wheel supremacy. Yeah! I am rapidly approaching my breaking point in Tears of the Kingdom. I'm sure that most of you have seen at least one of my other videos. Heck, 300,000 people watch my stuff every day, so why don't you tell subscribe? Anyways, my point was that most of you have seen my other videos, and I apologize. But now that I've gained a ton of subscribers since making all of these said videos, you folks are requesting videos that I have done already. I have made a video on quite literally everything. You know the Don Dons? Yeah, if only someone made a video on that. Since since Tears of the Kingdom's release, I've made over 170 videos on it. Oh my lord. Putting out 2 shorts and streaming every day really gets a lot of content out. Yeah! Do you miss Urbosa's Fury in Tears of the Kingdom? Well, here's how to replicate it. And I'm not talking about Riju's ability, but you should lightning strike the subscribe button. Wowzers. First things first, you are going to need a sword and shield and make your way over to a King Gleeok. If you don't know where all the Gleeoks are, I wonder if someone made a video on that. Step 2, guild. Step 3, fuse the ice horn to your shield and then the lightning horn to the sword. Then all you got to do is parry an enemy, freeze them, and then whack them with the sword. The ice makes the enemy take 3 times damage, and the electricity, well, zapple apple ding dong.
I am reaching insanity at an extreme rate, and it is all because of this.
In Tears of the Kingdom. Now what could even drive me insane? Well, let's just say there is only 2 options. 1, the fact that the Hyrule economy is crumbling, or 2, my undesirable desire to parry everything in sight. You know what? I'll just parry my insanity. Can you parry that? Episode 7. A stone-like rock. That rocks. An Octorok spitting out a weapon. Crazy. The little frog slash. Ah! What happened?
You are dead, Charlie. You parried yourself too hard. You must now parry death itself.
How do you expect me to do that?
You have to, Charlie. It will be funny.
Alright, bet. You were fooled about hearts in Tears of the Kingdom. Now when I say hearts, you might be confused to what I am referring to, so let me explain. In a past video titled I Despise This in Tears of the Kingdom, I talk about how just like in Breath of the Wild, Link cannot get max hearts and max stamina.
Oh, sorry, I mean, if only someone made a video on that.
And you lads really like that video. It already has 1 million views. Holy moly, now only if those people subscribed. But everyone in the comments of that video were saying that you couldn't get max hearts because Link got owned by the Bloom at the start of the game. But to the folks who say that, I can only recommend one thing: counting. Here's the start of the game, here's the end of the game. I found a brand new glitch in Tears of the Kingdom. Now this is quite the wacky glitch that I discovered using a steering wheel of all things, but it all started when my chat wanted me to do the item smuggle glitch, which granted I have absolutely no idea how to do that. I just say yahaha, I have no idea about glitches. So there I was, back facing a wall, drop a weapon, equip another one, and drop it too. Now this happens. Where did the weapon go? You can still attack and everything, but depending on the weapon types you combined and the fused materials, you can now invisible parry, is what I would want to say, but the shield does not exist. But most importantly, Link can dab on the haters like it's 2016. And to see that this glitch is probably a thing already, but I don't care. Yeah! Why do Sage abilities suck and how can I fix them? Tears of the Kingdom is a fantastic game, but if I have one complaint about it, I would have to say it's the Sage abilities. I'm quite a fan of the abilities themselves, but I feel like I can never use them because the Sages are always scuttling around like it's a Xenoblade game. So how do I fix this? Well, the plan is simple. Just like the champion abilities in Breath of the Wild, have the Sage powers be contextual. For Riju, pressing the A button while aiming your bow would work great. For Yunobo, I think preparing to throw a weapon and then pressing A would be splendid. Tulin can stay how he is currently, same goes for Minoru, and Sidon's could be as simple as clicking in on the left stick while targeting an enemy. I wouldn't want to get rid of the parry option. Parry. Another thing that I hate about Tears of the Kingdom would have to be the combat system. And that's not saying I dislike the entire system, but I mainly dislike the lack of options. Yes, I know, the lack of options in Tears of the Kingdom. To elaborate, I feel that combat gets more and more streamlined the more you play. It's either a flurry rush or bullet time arrows. Even when I was parrying my way through the game with only a shield, the issue still occurred. Speaking of, for every subscription I get on this video, I will parry a Lionel 1 time on a later stream. Oh boy, so how is this issue resolved? Easy. Play Wind Waker. Nintendo, please. Here's how to replicate Mipha's Grace in Tears of the Kingdom. I miss getting a free revive every once in a while, and fairies just aren't cutting it, so what do? Well, it involves using the game mechanic known as pet. Can you parry that? Episode 8, a boss of Goblin Rock. Oh wow, and shoutouts to Dwayne. Fire like fireballs. I do not like that. A Korok. I'm sorry, little one. A red jump from behind in Mario Kart. I never knew this was possible. The subscribe button. Every subscription I get in this video, I will parry a Lionel 1 time. A machine of death. This is actually pretty funny. This video. Can you beat Super Mario Galaxy without using power-ups? It may seem to be a simple question at first, but let's take a closer look at the levels to see what's up. Gateway Galaxy is passed with ease. Big Goomba. Good Egg Galaxy is good too. But in order to skip the Bee Mushroom in Honey Hive Galaxy, you will have to do some wacky maneuvers. First up, go and get all the way up to these platforms, hop onto the tree, and start climbing. Then after some schmooving, start belly sliding and jump at the last second across to the other tree, climb up that tree, and congrats, that was practically the entire run. What's the best Master Sword design in the Zelda series? They are all pretty similar in design, so time to count down the top 3. Number 3, Wind Waker. For once I'm not biased, but seeing it power up throughout the game gives it a great look with its super shiny sheen. Number Number 2 would have to go to Skyward Sword. For being a game centered around the creation of the Master Sword, they sure got the design down great. Just like Wind Waker, the multiple iterations of the Goddess Sword and then Master Sword are fantastic. And building on top of the design of the Skyward Sword is number 1, Tears of the Kingdom. The design is practically the same, but there is just a tiny bit where you can see the damage the Master Sword took at the start of the game, and it is real cool. I broke Super Mario Galaxy, and I must say it's crazy that I'm still learning new things about this game, although it is over 15 years old, goodness me. But I was playing through the game without power-ups on stream, finale tonight by the way, and I came across the best galaxy in the game, Freeze Flame Galaxy. I'm sorry, Gusty Garden Galaxy, you too, Beach Ball. But in my attempt to pass the required Ice Flower sections of the galaxy, I brought myself to the required Fire Flower section, which is quite ironic. So instead of doing that section, I decided to take a wild jump off the side of the platform, only to realize that you can climb up the slope to the boss fight and beat it without the Ice Flower, and then you can parry Bear on Burr. Bad Tears of the Kingdom video ideas. I beat Tears of the Kingdom using a cheese grater. I discovered how to play post-game in Tears of the Kingdom. I went to Minecraft and built Frederick in Tears of the Kingdom. I threw the penguin off of Cool Mountain in Tears of the Kingdom. I destroyed the global economy in Tears of the Kingdom. I robbed someone for Taylor Swift tickets in Tears of the Kingdom. I brought 1,000 Fredericks underground and Yahaha'd every creature to death in Tears of the Kingdom. I woke up in Tears of the Kingdom. I was put on an FBI watch list in Tears of the Kingdom. I made it into a future C.com video. Don't know who the C.com fellow is in Tears of the Kingdom. What is the best weapon in Tears of the Kingdom? I'm talking the objective best and not some weapon that you can only use one on the back of a Lionel. I'm looking at you, Royal Guard weapons. So while using the best item in the game, the Lionel Saberhorn to the weapon, I wonder where you can get that from. Can I get a one? I mean, if only someone made a video on that. Yeah. So there are 3 potential options. First off is the Master Sword, which gives a solid 30 damage and then 60 damage when attacking gloom enemies. Paired with the Saberhorn, it can give 115 damage, which is pretty cool. The Scimitar of the 7 has lower base damage than the Master Sword, but it doubles the damage of your fuse material, so the 28 plus 55 damage becomes 28 plus 110 damage for 138 damage. You have to do a quest to do it, but I ain't doing all that. But we all know that the best weapon in Tears of the Kingdom is Frederick. The lad did a kickflip on the final boss. Yeah! Just how many attacks can Link Flurry Rush in Tears of the Kingdom? Welcome to Can You Flurry Rush That? An Evermean, would you look at that? A Gloom Hand, what a steal. Literal air from a Yiga Blade Master. I don't know why I'd think that worked. A Rock Octorok Rock. Ouch. A Boss Bokoblin Rock. I honestly didn't know what to expect here. A Stone Talus Rock Throw. Well dang. An Aracuda Dash. That sure is wacky. Lizalfo Spit. You can parry it at least. And a Pebble thrown by a Bokoblin. That was pretty much expected. Wait, why do I feel like there's something missing? Can you parry that episode 9? Blue Sparks mean parry. Lizalfo Spit. Parry lovers are salivating right now. A Bear Attack. This was surprisingly tricky. A Windrobe Attack. Just be sure you're shockproof before attempting. A Warlock Punch. That sure is crazy. The bloody Demon Dragon Gloom Balls. It took so long to get here. This took an hour. A Wolf. Yup. A Captain Conscript Drop Attack. Kerblamo. The subscribe button. Would you look at that? An arrow from a skeleton. Does this even count? And to bring it all around, a boomerang with a bomb. The main goal is to blow up. Can you parry that merch on c.shop.com? Go. Can you beat Super Mario Galaxy 2 without using power-ups? I just beat Galaxy 1 without them on stream, but how in the world can I do Galaxy 2? Since the game is way more linear, that means I'll be required to play specific levels. Case in point, Bluffy Bluff Galaxy. The required galaxy that focuses on the Cloud Flower. This will be a pleasant experience, and this is considered easy in the challenge run. So how does one beat the galaxy when you need to stand on clouds? Well, it's pretty simple, is what I would say if I was a liar. Long jump on the clouds, do a nearly frame-perfect side flip before getting on the question mark block, then do it again near the end as you do a perfectly placed triple jump to get to the end. And don't even get me started on Cloudy Court Galaxy, oh my goodness. Clouds are the bane of my existence. Tears of the Kingdom has some insane musical references that I'm sure even the most seasoned Zelda players didn't notice. There are 4 musical references I would like to cover, so let's go. First off, whenever a character is on screen, the music starts playing their theme, and for some reason I think it is really funny. You can hear Zelda's lullaby whenever Zelda is on screen.
Something only I can do.
Whenever the Master Sword is evolved, you can hear Fi's theme, shoutouts to Skyward Sword.
Find me and recover your strength.
For Ganondorf, his original theme plays in most cutscenes, but call it overexposure to the internet, but I can only hear the Giga Chad music in his theme now, goodness me. But the most obscure occurrence of this musical reference I could find would have to be when you are making your way down to Zora's domain and the center statue is all sludged up. So when you go to clean it up, you hear a little cutscene tune and... It's just a few notes. How did I catch this one?
C.com, this is actually very obvious. Everyone knows.
No, this is the new best Mario Kart setup, and no, it isn't the Teddy Buggy. The latest Mario Kart 8 Deluxe update changed up the statistics of some cards, so now this combo with the Teddy Buggy is widely regarded as the best in the game due to the hidden mini turbo stat being so high, allowing the player to get more boost per drift. But this isn't true. I would say the best setup would be Breath of the Wild Link on the Master Cycle, because when you trick off of a ramp, you can destroy items behind you without using any items yourself, but it is way too rare to see in a race. So the best new combo has the same exact roller wheels as the other combo. You can choose any glider, but if you want more mini turbo stats, you can choose the paper airplane. And for the cart and character, it's time to wake up. In the Bugatti, yeah, Seal and King Boo, you will factually never lose. Yeah. Are you bored in Tears of the Kingdom and wondering what to do? Well, if only someone made a video on that. That's me, I'm someone. The game has been out for just over 3 months now, so it makes sense that you would start running out of things to do. So here are 4 more things you can do in Tears of the Kingdom. The first is to get Hero's Path, which you can get with the Travel Medallion and such, if only someone made a video on that. Second is to fill out the Hyrule Compendium, and by fill out I mean buy all the pictures from Robbie. Third is to find all the Koroks, or at least enough to fully upgrade your inventory from my main man Hestu, gonna yahaha. And fourth, I want to warn you, this can lead you into a not so good mental state, but grab a shield and try to play the game using only a shield, just like how I am streaming myself parrying a Lionel once for every subscription I get. Oh no. What is the best Zelda game ever? And I'm not saying Wind Waker, this is an unbiased review. Out of the 20 mainline Zelda games, which one takes the top spot for being just overall the best game? I feel that most of you lads will say Tears of the Kingdom, and that may be due to recency bias, or perhaps you've only played Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, which is cool too. But there are a ton of other games I'm sure you all will enjoy as well. Now, random note, do any of you fellas remember what I would do at 100K? The Zelda-thon's coming back! The series where I play every Zelda game on stream. Except for the multiplayer ones, I have no friends. The first stream will be tomorrow at the times listed here. It's time to really see what game is the best, starting with the original Legend of Zelda. I finally found the easiest boss in the Zelda series. After months, my long-awaited search for the easiest boss might have come to a close here. While Marbled Goma is pretty easy, that has a bit too much interactivity for me. In my quest, I started up the Zelda-thon again, where I play through every Zelda game on stream. Remember, you subscribed for it, yeah? So I was kind of gaming through the first Zelda game, and then I got to dungeon number 6 and the boss fight of Goma. I didn't have arrows, so I got some and then came back to the dungeon, then on my way to the boss. Oh, hold on, give me a moment. That didn't happen. Gonna get a Alright, Goma, it's time to throw down. Let's go. Oh, I fixed the Zelda timeline. This image was released a while back, and it has driven the Zelda community mad ever since, so here I am to fix the issue with an objectively correct list. Totally. The problem with this timeline is that if you want to play the games in chronological order, you have to keep swapping through timelines. And also, it doesn't make sense. So here's how to play the games from one point of observation. First is Skyward Sword, that follows all the way to Ocarina of Time, where you play through Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, and Four Swords Adventures. After those games, you go on to play Ocarina of Time 3D. You see where I'm going with this? No? Okay. Then after that, you can move on to Wind Waker, Phantom Hourglass, and Spirit Tracks, which are games I'm very excited to play in the Zelda-thon for a stream today. Once you have finished those games, Skyward Sword HD is optional, but you may need a refresher of events, and you need to make a new Master Sword anyway, so why not? Then it is all the 2D games, followed by Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. You can't parry the fact that the timeline doesn't matter, though. This classic Zelda enemy should have been in Tears of the Kingdom, but also what is it? I was playing the original Zelda game as part of the Zelda-thon. Subscribe so you don't miss me play Zelda 2 tomorrow. I'm gonna be in the cave where I can't see the keys. I'm gonna walk 2 steps, and I'm going to die. Watch. Watch. And I ran into this lad in a dungeon. Not this lad, we'll talk about them later because they are so cool. But this crazy enemy that has 4 mouths and is called a manhandler. In the original game, you have to take out all the mouth claw things to defeat it. So in modern Zelda games, I can see this enemy kind of being like the fly fish in Splatoon, where you have to throw the bombs in and everyone misses. Yeah. So in Tears of the Kingdom's DLC, maybe, the manhandler will hop in and you'll have to sneak around throwing bombs into the 4 mouths before attacking the central weak point. Hey, that's pretty cool. Yeah. Subscribe. How does my Nintendo Switch do this? And how can you do it too? It's a bit hard to see when I zoom in a bunch, but if you don't know what I'm talking about, in Tears of the Kingdom, the Nintendo Switch has some pretty nifty features except themes. What the heck, Nintendo? It has been 6.5 years. There are even display options when you lads want to explore the depths without light routes, kinda gonna blah, but this time in inverted colors. This isn't really that bad to explore as long as you're wearing sunglasses. But to activate zoom, just go right by the display options and blammo. Double tap the home button to blah. I ranked Tears of the Kingdom soundtrack, and here are the 5 best songs. To keep things simple, I'll only rank the new songs and not the old Breath of the Wild tracks. I'm sorry, Moldugal, you'll get your chance another day. 5. The Horde battle music. For this track, I feel like the composers just took every single battle track in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom and slammed them all together, and it sounds great. I especially like the part you're hearing right now. 4. Demon King Ganondorf Phase 2. What else can I say? A great final boss theme for putting fear in your heart when you get flurry rushed. 3. Construct Factory. I must say, for being in a blah, this area theme is so serene. And then Minoru's theme starts playing over top and... 2. Colgera. You fellas knew this was going to be high on the list with my Wind Waker bias. Unlike other regional bosses, this one doesn't have a variant for the damage phase, because the entire fight is the damage phase and the Wind Waker music goes crazy. And the final spot goes to the final trailer theme. The saxophone transports me to the sacred realm. I did a kazoo cover of this. It's so good. Is Zelda 2 really the hardest Zelda game? It can't be that bad, right? Day 3 of the Zeldathon commences. Time to play Zelda 2, and hoo boy, I want to get through this as soon as possible. The game opens up and the plan is simple. Get through all of the palaces and win. The enemies aren't so bad, but where's the pogo move? I like the pogo move. Also, who designed this bridge? I just want to know. Don't even get me started on these lads with the axes. Oh my goodness gracious. Don't try it. And then there's Death Mountain. Try doing that without a guide. Goodness me. At least the first town is goated. What, all the other towns try to kill you, dear lord? But then you finally get the drop attack and the game becomes 10 times easier. Shout out to the overworld music too. This is an absolute jammer. It's been over 4 years since the first Tears of the Kingdom trailer, so let's go and see what changed. First, we see the imprisoning chamber, and this room was completely revamped in the full game. This next shot shows Zelda looking at murals on the wall, which yet again, the look was completely changed yet again. Wild. This next shot has a Don and this giant wall right here, which I can't seem to find anywhere, so that's cool. This spot where the Don is taking a sip could be the very starting room, but I'm unsure. It's a bit smaller. The Don is real neat. If only someone made a video on that. This rat gets owned in a spiral staircase, and it could be the Royal Hidden Passage staircase. And the last shot is the bridge, which is in the game, but without the crystals and the bridge part of the bridge. That's pretty wild. I found a new easiest boss in the Zelda series. Time for a recap. Last time I talked about Goma in the original Zelda and how as long as you have arrows, you can one-shot the boss. Also, the only way you can damage Goma is with arrows. So now continuing the Zeldathon, where I play through every Zelda game on stream, the thing you lads got me to 100k for. Thank you very much for subscribing. Playing Zelda 2 is quite the experience, and the craziest bit had to be the 4th palace, where you go to this boss. No, that isn't a boss. That is just a regular enemy, which I was just not really a fan of. I don't really see why though. But it is time for the palace boss with Shadow Wizard Money Gang, and trying to fight this boss regularly is not a good time. But instead, you have to use Link's reflect spell, sit in the corner and crouch down. Can you parry that episode 9.5? Magic Man go boom! Link carries a ton of weapons in Tears of the Kingdom, so just how strong is he? Well, I do think that the Triforce of Courage gives Link the ability to hold 999 pine cones and such at a time. How heavy would all these items be? Specifically the weapons. So let's see what the heaviest weapon and shield would be. The Royal or Royal Guard Claymore and the Savage Lionel shield seem pretty heavy. What is the real world weight of these objects? Google says the Claymore weighs 5.5 pounds, but the Royal Claymore is crazy, so I'll round that up a tiny bit to 10 pounds. This shield is probably around 8 pounds. But now let's talk about Fuse, specifically the boulder or other large rocks. Google tells me a boulder is 175 pounds per cubic foot. The boulder looks to be at least 5 feet in diameter, so to do some math, each boulder weighs over 20,000 pounds. That can't be right. But with all 20 weapons and 20 shields, Link is carrying over 800,000 pounds. Yeah, I should not be allowed to do math. What happened to Dark Link in Tears of the Kingdom? For being the second final boss in the Zelda series, he rarely pops up in other games. The mini-boss of the Water Temple in Ocarina of Time and that funny cutscene in Twilight Princess are the two that really come to mind. I'm sure there are more appearances in the 2D games, but I haven't played every Zelda game. If only someone made a stream series doing that. But here's a cool idea for Dark Link to return. Hear me out. The Tears of the Kingdom DLC story has you go find the new Sage of Spirit, and the final boss of whatever new dungeon there is will be Dark Link. And of course, Dark Frederick. What powers the constructs in Tears of the Kingdom? Now, I know what you may be saying. See, there come the Zonai charge is literally right there. And my response to that is yes. But what powers a Zonai charge? Well, here's what I think. Underground is Zonite. You'll love to see it, which you can take and turn into crystallized charges when smelted. That is a Minecraft moment. Join the C.SMP, everyone. Here's the server address. So these crystallized charges can be turned into energy wells, and it seems that these energy wells are just like batteries. But I don't think that's it either. Instead, it seems that the constructs are powered by real electricity. Wild!
What's the most suspicious thing in the Zelda series? I'm sure you fellas may think the Great Fairies are quite odd, especially with their upgrade of 23. But let me tell you, it gets weirder. Some may think it's this moment in Link's Awakening, but it's really more funny and actually quite depressing if you take the story of the game into account. There's the ending of Zelda 2, which barely has anything of note. Oh wow, look at that. I beat the entire game for this. Do not play Zelda 2 if you value your sanity. But now I am convinced that this right here is it. A Link to the Past, start up the game, grab the lantern. Oh no, no, not again, not again! I've lied to you all in Tears of the Kingdom.
I've made a severe and continuous lapse to my judgment, and I'm not
Well, this isn't really a lie, but to get more details, we have to take the clock back to before Tears of the Kingdom even released, where I put out this video talking about my biggest hope for the game, which involved talking about an amiibo costume that I wanted in the game. Also, why did this video get so many views if only all those folks subscribed? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I said that I wanted Link to run around Hyrule not wanting to make toys, but to be a dentist, and it turns out the costume ended up being in the game, on pure chance, right? But remember when the second official trailer for Tears of the Kingdom came out and there was an art book leak, and it just so happens there's a certain amiibo costume in there? What?
Nintendo always puts funny ways to defeat bosses in the Zelda series. I think a lot of folks know about the empty bottle working against Ganondorf in Ocarina of Time, but here's some others that'll have you ask just why. In Wind Waker, if you grab some fresh water from the Forest Haven and run through the Forbidden Woods dungeon to get to the boss, once this lad's weak point is exposed, just pour some water on them, and just like a gamer, it seems that they don't like to be hurt. In Twilight Princess, in the very final Ganondorf fight, if you have the bright idea to pull out a fishing rod, you can see that Ganondorf gets rather distracted by it, which makes me go, yahaha. And then in A Link to the Past, when you go fight Aghanim, the lad decides to have the first tennis match in the series, and you can send the energy balls back with an oversized tennis racket called the Bug Net.
Wild. You know what's going down. Can you parry that episode 10? Sludge from Zora's Domain. It's way too hard to line up on the surface, and the falling sludge from Muktarok doesn't do damage. Whoopsie. Lionel Arrow Rain. Yup, when the third arrow gets you ouchied. Muktarok Wave Attack. Oh, once you got little shields. Muktarok's charge attack. I didn't even know Muktarok had a charge attack. Lightning like. Be sure to be shocked before attempting, or use a wooden shield. Golgara's spike attacks. Sadly, no. I'm just as disappointed as you are. Falling Ruins. You can do a falling Skyrock, but this is a no. Odd. A Guardian Laser Beam. Crazy. A tree stasis launch. Also, put a nifty compilation of all parry videos thus far into a quick video, so if you want to watch them all without scrolling through all my shorts, here you go. Yeah! How does Ultra Hand even work in Tears of the Kingdom? I get the picking up and moving aspect, but how's the funny glue work? Time for my lackluster game dev knowledge to explain this dark wizardry that is Ultra Hand. So with each object in the game, imagine there is an invisible grid wrapping around the object. And at the points the grid lines intersect, we'll call them attach points. So to build Frederick as an example, when placing the two wood bundles together, multiple attach points touch each other, so the glue now spans the entire width. For the eyes on the leaf, there is only one attach point, and for the stake, two attach points connect on two different objects, so the game chooses one object to attach to. So now you can take Frederick all over Hyrule. 200k subs and I beat the entire game with them. What's the hardest boss in the Zelda-thon? Well, what is the Zelda-thon? It's a stream series where I play every Zelda game. Well, my easiest boss series, I've covered Zelda 1 and Zelda 2 bosses. I'm now at A Link to the Past, which I must say is fantastic so far. I was heading on into Thieves Town in the Dark World, and let me tell you, the dungeons in this game simply do not miss in the slightest. I go rescue the fella, then get to the boss room, only for the person to become the Zelda equivalent of Sans Undertale, because what is this? If you were not stocked up on healing items, just how? I had to break the timeline so many times to do this. Thanks, Nintendo. What's the best item in the Zelda series? With so many different items throughout the entire series, it makes you question just what one is the best, right? It must be the item that shows up in the most Zelda games, right? If that's the case, it would have to be the bow, which has shown up in every single Zelda game except for Adventure of Link. No wonder why that game is cursed. If we went by this logic, the funny Among Us lantern would be in the top spot, so it is time for me to give a top 3 ranking. Number 3, the bow. There's a reason it is in all but one Zelda game. Light arrows go blah. Number 2, another recurring item would have to be the hook shot. My only complaint with this item that it isn't in Tears of the Kingdom. I wanted the Spider-Man around, but maybe DLC, yeah? Before I say number 1, 200k subscribers before the end of the year, and I'll play a Wind Waker randomizer where every item can be every item. And taking the number 1 spot would be... You thought this would be a parry joke. Ha! Nope! Spin! I just found the easiest boss in the Zelda series. Again! Wild! Time for a recap! Yeah! In part 1, I talked about how you can one-shot Goma in the original Zelda. Then I talked about the Shadow Wizard Money Gang in Zelda 2. And now I'm playing A Link to the Past that was part of the Zelda-thon. The thing you fellas subscribed for. Also, thank you all for 127,000 subscribers. I'm chilling in the Dark World and I come across this dungeon, which is neat. The Shadow Wizard Money Gang returns here and it's a great time. But the boss I can quite literally do with my eyes
close, then occasionally press the Y button while mashing B. The boss in question? Well, it is... I have no idea what this lad is called, but yeah. How long would it take to climb from the lowest to highest point in Hyrule? I'm not talking about Link. I'm talking about you in Tears of the Kingdom. So it is time to find the highest point in Hyrule, which would be one of the Sky Islands. This one above Lookout Landing is the highest at a height value of 3,009, but if you want to go all the way to the game's height limit, that is 3,293. And let's get to the lowest point, which would be underneath Hyrule Castle at the end of the game, with a value of negative 2,517. But if you want to go to the very lowest point, Link can jump off the platform to get to negative 2,525 before triggering the falling cutscene. Now, what is the average ladder climbing speed? Well, I think it's about half a meter a second. Wild. Now we calculate the distance. To go from the bottom of the world to the highest Sky Island, it would take you about 184 minutes across 5,526 meters. And if you want to go to height limit, it would take you about 193 minutes over 5,818 meters.
What a thrill.
Can you parry that? Needs an update. I've made a whopping 10 whole shorts on the concept of backhanding the residents of Hyrule, but if you watched all the shorts, you may realize that sometimes the game just isn't Tears of the Kingdom for whatever reason that may be. But for the fabled Can You Parry That episode 11, what should I parry? Leave comments for Tears of the Kingdom, but if there's any other game with a parry mechanic of some kind, let me know in the comments and I will parry. Be sure to like the comments of the ideas you like. See you soon. Super Mario Bros. Wonder Nintendo Direct tomorrow. Here are your predictions. 4 of them. First off, Nintendo is going to announce that you cannot play the game online with friends and everyone will be mad. Not me though, I don't have friends. Second off, I think since Mario turns into an elephant, other characters can turn into other folks. I'm calling it right now. Luigi turns into a rhino, Peach turns into a giraffe, Daisy turns into a zebra, the Toads turn into hippos, and the Yoshis turn into Gex. Thirdly, I think that there will be a new Switch model releasing with the game. If it looks good, I'll get it. Subscribe so my bank account survives. And lastly, all I have to say is that my main man Shy Guy better be in the game, Nintendo. What your favorite Pikmin type says about you, part 2. Time to cover the lads in Pikmin 2. Check out the previous video as well. First up, if you like the purple Pikmin, then Lubba from Mario Galaxy 2 is your spirit animal. And I have a feeling you really enjoy the depths for no apparent reason. Secondly, if you are a fan of the white Pikmin, I'd say you are a very cool fella, but you push people away and then hate them for leaving. You could say it's your toxic trait. And if you are a fan of the Bulbmin, I'd have to say you have the Terraria Underground music playing in your mind 24/7. No thoughts. Head empty. Bulbmin. I was right about Mario Bros. Wonder. The direct just happened, so let's go over my predictions. First off, I talked about there being no online play. Spoilers. I was wrong. I don't know why, but the Dark Souls-styled asynchronous multiplayer looks real neat. And there is just regular multiplayer too. The unique animal power-ups I predicted were a no-go, and there is also no word on Shy Guy, or at least I haven't seen the lad in the trailer yet. But hoo boy, I sure was right about that special edition Nintendo Switch. Oh dear lord, I'm gonna buy this on back. Also, Spin Drill is back. If only someone made a video on that. Is a statement I've said time and time again in my shorts, mainly because it is true. I am someone. Since Tears of the Kingdom released back in May, I've made over 200 shorts on the game, ranging from tips to cool details. It is crazy to see the first few shorts how surprisingly calm I am, and then you, Can you parry that episode 9? You go to this. So now instead of having to scroll through every single video, I've compiled them all up into this one large video, which just so happens to be over 2 hours long. Dear lord. Check out the full video in the pinned comment. Or maybe you're watching it right now.